give this heading. Now we'll start with this topic, very important for the examination. We'll start with this topic, budget 2025-2026. Budget 2025-2026. If I open this topic for the examination, has anyone seen the PYQs? Has anyone seen the PYQs? Okay, so I'll tell you first the questions that they come in the examination. They will ask you the dimension of polity, where they will ask you the dimension of the articles, which are the articles involved, because these articles, they are very important. State articles they'll discuss. I'll explain you these articles. They are the most technical articles in the constitution. Technical means इनको समझना थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है. They are unlike fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are very easy, but there's a lot of interpretation which has to be done for fundamental. That makes it a bit complex. So we'll open up these articles, and along with the this polity, then from the aspect of current affairs, we'll be discussing the schemes which have been launched in the budget. And along with the schemes, sometimes they'll not ask you a scheme, they'll test your broad knowledge about that area. For example, they might ask you what is the difference between a small modular reactor and a small reactor, because both of these terms, they are in use. What is the difference between, let's say, Swami 1 scheme as compared to Swami 2.0? So you need to also understand this budget from a broad perspective, where an overarching knowledge is required. So we need to expand our knowledge base when I discuss the schemes. And third is your economy static areas. When I say your economy static areas, they will basically ask you trends. Fiscal deficit is consistently increasing, debt to GDP ratio is consistently increasing, or they can ask you capital expenditure incurred by the government of India is continuously increasing. So I will not discuss what is revenue deficit, primary deficit, fiscal deficit. You all know it. That is very simple issues of your static economy. I'll not discuss that. I'll discuss the broad trends, and then also we'll discuss the statistics. Also we'll discuss the statistics involved from the perspective of the examination. Broad statistics, from where does the money come, where do we spend the money, direct taxes are more than indirect taxes, which of the following taxes has got the highest share. All of these things you need to understand from the perspective of prelims, that is economy portion, right? And then also for your mains, I will not discuss it, because then this discussion becomes too long. When I'll take my classes for civil services mains with you, then in that initial 1 or 2 questions that come up in General Studies paper 3, the core economy questions, they can ask you the effect. They can ask you the effect of changes made by the government. Effect of changes made by the government. For example, the biggest change that is actually catching all the attention, though there was so much in the budget, the biggest change, all of you know, I think it should be affecting all of you. Middle class aspirants are the bulk who prepare for civil services, and this budget is all about middle class. It is 7 lakh to 12 lakh is now the limit of non-payment of income tax. If anyone is earning within 12 lakh rupees a year, that is 1 lakh a month, that individual will not be required to pay any income tax. That limit earlier used to be almost, let's say, 58,000. So that is a big amount of money in your pockets. You would be getting, let's say, 42,000 into whatever the taxation rate, more in your pockets. That's a big achievement. Not an achievement, that's a big step. In the end, we'll discuss whether it is good or bad from the perspective of economics, right? So I'll open this topic into 2 heads. First, I'll take with you the discussion of polity. After this, I'll take a discussion of economy. In polity, I'd like to first discuss with you basic facts, very basic simplified concepts, so that we understand what is this term called as budget. After this, we'll then open up the second dimension. I'll go to the very important part, the constitutional scheme, where I'd be discussing the articles which are involved here. These articles are very important for your prelims. I'd say this is slightly more important if I look at the PYQs asked in the examination before, 11 to 24. This is slightly more important. And then, interestingly, we'll also cover one more part. It came up in the examination 2-3 years back in prelims as one question. A new breed of question, but very simple. What are the list of documents? What are the list of documents presented? What are the list of documents presented by the government to the parliament? You all know the budget, but that budget is just one of the many articles, many documents that we present. This has been asked in a PYQ, so I'd like to briefly discuss. In fact, the newspapers and the articles that you read, they would usually not read the entire budget. They would pick up the information from this information that's given to you by the government of India in the list of documents. Some of them are wanted by the constitution, some of them under laws, some of them are given by the government just to keep it simple, to simplify it for an average man as compared to an expert in the subject. Is it fine? For economy, for your prelims, I'd like to simply segregate. We'll first start with statistics. I'll discuss some broad statistics in news, fiscal deficit, debt to GDP ratio, subsidies and all trends, which ministry gets how much money, arrange and decreasing order, all of it we'll discuss. This I find is slightly more important than all the schemes or all the initiatives taken by the government in the budget because they all are new. So this is slightly more important. Then after this we'll discuss the other part. After this we'll discuss the other part. We'll discuss a bit of backdrop. I'd like to take your opinions here. I'd want you to know what is the backdrop, because I have not taken unemployment crisis with you. I had taken gig economy with you, which is now we had seen there has to be data collection. We need to have a data. Now almost that is done. The government has planned the data collection through the e-Shram portal for almost 1 crore gig workers that we have in the country, along with one more initiative. We'll look at that later. So apart from, after looking at the backdrop, then we'll come to the budget details. This is the budget, but to reach here, I need to discuss all of these aspects before. And then finally, after we have seen the budget, all the initiatives, all the steps taken by the government in a speech with a bit of overarching knowledge, then this is, I will not say a all in all mains material I'm giving you, but I just want to have a quick word with you for the interviews. Let's say if anyone is going in the interview, because budget is in current affairs throughout the interview stage, so they might ask your opinions. What do you think is the most important step taken by the government? So everyone would say the middle class getting a tax hike of 5 lakhs. But to slightly keep it more nuanced and polished, I'd like to give you some more points at a very brief level. This is not mains material. This is just a food for thought after the class so that you understand this is good and this is bad in the budget, but not for mains. For mains, we need to take it separately after prelims. Am I fine? So we'd like to just discuss the analysis. We'd like to discuss the analysis. This analysis is only for interview, just interview thought. This is nothing but interview thought. Your opinions, basically, I'd like to know. What do you think about the steps taken by the government? That is the idea. Is it fine, all of you? Now let's start with the first part. Let's start with the first part. I'll open the first leg of my discussion. I'll start with the polity leg of discussion that we'll have. And in polity leg, let's open the first type of discussions that we need to start with. This is the basic concepts. कुछ ऐसे टर्म्स हमें समझने पड़ेंगे जो कि बजट में हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं. ये सारे PYQs में पॉलिटी में पूछा गया है. So first I'd like to define budget. So first I'd like to define the budget. What is a budget? Budget, write down. Budget is what? Budget, number one, is a statement. Budget is a statement of estimated receipts. Estimated receipts and expenditure. Statement of estimated receipts and expenditure presented for some duration. Budget is a statement of estimated receipts presented for some duration. All of you are preparing for civil services exam. All of you are staying in Delhi. All of you want to carry out your expenditure. All of you are dependent on money from your parents. So all of you usually, before the month starts, like this month started on February 1, you will present a budget to your parents. Your parents will examine the expenditure. There is no receipt right now because all of you are not earning. You are not having any salary with you. So you present your budget to the parents, like giving all the expenditure details. Your parents, they'll ask you questions. You answer the questions. They approve it, and then you get that money in your bank account for the duration of 1 month. So for you, the budget is a statement of receipts and expenditure presented for some duration. Exactly the same way for the state government or for the central government, they will prepare a statement that is broadly called as budget. They will list down the estimated receipts and expenditure at a very broad level, and they'll present it for some duration. Just to add a layer here, one layer I'd like to add. Number one, duration is 1 year. Duration is 1 year. 1 year for who? 1 year for the central government, as per Article 112. Every year we have to present a budget. Duration for you is 1 month. For the government, it is 1 year as per the Constitution of India. Constitution of India is giving the details that you have to present the budget every year. Interestingly, a very popular fact, the term budget that you have in the Constitution, that is not mentioned. What you actually have in the Constitution is this term annual financial statement. What we have in the Constitution is annual financial statement, and this is again mentioned in the Constitution under the Article 112. Under the Article 112. So 112 basically is laying down the foundation of the provisions of the budget. I'll just discuss just to start. This is what annual financial statement is, what we have in the Constitution, right? And then after I know the definition, I'd like to discuss some 2-3 very simple facts which is connected with all of you. If your budget for the month is not passed by your parents, let's say you present the budget to your parents for the month of March, and if it is not passed by your parents, then what is the effect on you? There is no effect. In fact, the effect is 100% effect. You will not be able to survive in Delhi. You would go back to your hometown. Am I right? Similarly, for my government of India, for the executive, I'll say this, that if the budget is not passed, then the Council of Ministers need to resign. Then the Council of Ministers, they need to resign. The Council of Ministers, they need to resign. They need to resign in theory, but we also know very well from the information that we have from static polity that the government does not resign because the government is forming the government because it has got majority in the people's house. Your state government has got majority in the assembly of your state. The central government has got majority in the Lok Sabha. Thereby, if any particular budget is presented, it is finally always approved by the Lok Sabha and the Council of States at center, Legislative Assembly, and the second house, that is Legislative Council in your states. Is it fine? Third point you write down in basic concepts that in the annual financial statement, in the annual financial statement, in bracket, I'll call it budget, details of receipt and expenditure. Details of receipt and expenditure. Receipt and expenditure are presented under all of the three accounts under the Constitution. All of the three accounts under the Constitution. You can quickly tell me the accounts that we have in the Constitution. Consolidated Fund of India. When I write CFI, I imply Consolidated Fund of India. This is Article 266. Then I have a contingency fund. All of you know it. Contingency Fund of India. Article is 267. It has a corpus of 30,000 crores. And then there is another account that we have. It is called as Public Account of India. This is also given in the Constitution under Article 266. Under Article 266. So the details of receipt and expenditure are presented under each of the three accounts that we have in the Constitution under these respective articles, and presented for dash years. And presented for dash years. In the annual financial statement that was presented by the Government of India to the Parliament on February 1, the details of receipt and expenditure of the Government of India is presented for dash number of years. What is this dash number of years? What is dash number of years? 3 or 1? Isn't it annual? Write down 3 years. Quickly write down 3 years. For example, if I talk about this budget that you saw on 1st February 2025, this budget that you saw on 1st February 2025, it presented you the details of receipt and expenditure for 3 years. One is 2025, 2026. This is your budget, or I can say the future year budget or future year that will start from 1st of April till 31st of March 2026. Second is 2024 to 2025. This is called as your current year, the year in which all of us are right now. This is current year. Today is the date. It is 8th of February. It is current year. I am in the current fiscal year, current financial year, that is 24-25. It started on 1st April 24. It will end on 31st of March 2025. And then we have got the past year, the previous year, which is nothing but 2023 to 24. This will be called as previous year, and you can also call it past year. Previous year, and you can also call it past year. Now I'd like to slightly make it not technical. I'd like to slightly just add one layer which you might struggle with. It's slightly just slightly tough. You saw the budget that was presented by the government. What was the amount of money that the government of India wants for the budget year 25-26? Very good. 50 lakh crore. 50 lakh crore is the amount of money that is wanted by the government. In the current year, 24-25, the amount was almost, I'd say, 47 or 48 lakh crore. That's the entire amount of money. The newspapers, they say the government of India has presented the budget of 50 lakh crore. That is for 25-26. This estimate that you all know, that is 50 lakh crore, in technical parlance of the accounting, because all of this accounting which I'm making is actually bound by an article. I'll just discuss that with you. This estimate is called as, you can write down, budget estimate. The amount that you want for this financial year, which I'll just discuss in a bit, it is what estimate? It is called as budget estimate. So 50 lakh crores, if you talk to an economist, he tell you 50 lakh crore is the budget estimate of FY26. FY26 means fiscal year, financial year 25-26. If I talk about current year, current is Aaj, that is 24-25. Interestingly, I find it more interesting than the budget estimates because it tells me a lot that the government on February 1, 2024 wanted some money for the current year. It is called as budget estimates, which is almost 47-48 lakh crore that was wanted by the government on February 1, 24. And then that was wanted before the current year 24-25 had started. जब 2024 1 अप्रैल शुरू होने वाला था, उससे पहले सरकार ने अनुमानित इतना पैसा मांगा. आज 8 फरवरी है और नवंबर तक the government, based on the expenditure it has taken, it presents you something called as revised estimate. Revised estimate. So they modify the budget estimate. They will say that I wanted 40 lakh crore, 48 lakh crore for this year, but based on my expenditure pattern, we are presenting a revised estimate which could be less or more, keeping in mind the budgetary pattern. In 2024, we had elections. In 2024, the monsoons, they were not that good. So the government expenditure did not happen in the first half at that pace that we expected. The newspapers, they are saying that now the capital expenditure, it was 11.1 lakh crore for the budget of 24-25, the budget estimate for the current year. But because of elections and all, we'd be almost spending a revised estimate for the current year of 10 lakh crore. Almost 10 lakh. 1 lakh crore रुपए जो आपने कैपिटल अकाउंट पे लिए थे, हम डिस्कस करेंगे वैसे क्या होता है कैपिटल अकाउंट, वो 1 लाख करोड़ हमने कम स्पेंड किया. ये मुझे कैसे पता लगा? Because the government of India is presenting revised estimates for this year, current year, which is 24-25, and then the past year, that is 23-24, it has already ended. So I know how much money I have earned. I know how much money I have spent. The past month of February, the past month of January for you has ended. You know how much money you've spent. It's not an estimate. ये कोई अनुमानित खर्चा या कमाई नहीं है. इसको भारत सरकार बोलती है सिंपली, इसको भारत सरकार बोलती है सिंपली एक्चुअल्स. कि पिछले महीने आपने कितना पैसा खर्च किया आपको पता है ना, वो आपके लिए पता नहीं है तो पता लग जाएगा. अपने खाते में जाइए, नेट बैंकिंग का इस्तेमाल करिए. इट्स एन एग्जांपल ऑफ फिनटेक. वहां पे फिल्टर डालिए, 1 जनवरी से लेके 31 जनवरी तक सारा खाता आ जाएगा. उसमें मैथमेटिक्स भी आपको करने की जरूरत नहीं है. दे विल इन्फॉर्म यू दिस इज द मनी दैट यू स्पेंट. इज दैट फाइन? नाउ इफ यू नो दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग, just to add the fourth layer of facts here, you can just also write down here that very important, very simple but often confusing, the budget is passed. When I say budget, you all know it is annual financial statement, is passed by Lok Sabha. or both? The budget is passed by Lok Sabha or both? Very, very important. The budget is passed. You have to be absolutely clear here. Absolutely clear. There should be no confusion whatsoever. This has been asked in prelims. The budget is passed by both the houses of the parliament. The budget is passed by both the houses of the parliament. That is, all of you know, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. It is, write down the next fact, prepared by, it is prepared by Ministry of Finance, and within Ministry of Finance it is presented by Department of Economic Affairs. Again, this is a PYQ. This has been asked in prelims. It is prepared by Department of Economic Affairs. So there are 5 departments. The youngest of the 5 secretaries ends up becoming the finance secretary. All of you are young, so you qualify the exam. There are very good chances at this age you end up becoming the finance secretary. Economic Affairs, Department of Revenue, Department of Expenditure, Department of Public Asset Management, Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, we call it DPAM. And then the 5th is Department of Financial Services. These schemes that you know, small savings schemes, that's run by Department of Financial Services. And this department, for your information, is also involved in preparation of economic survey. I would like to just tell you, this is a very important fact. I cannot straight away jump to the budget. These facts have to be on your tips. All of these facts have been asked in civil services prelims. Very simple, but we cannot ignore them. Am I clear, all of you? Am I clear? Right. And then a very popular fact. The budget is presented by Finance Minister. Finance Minister, something very important I'll just discuss in the next leg. It's just coming. On behalf of the President. 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 As we'll just discuss this article, just complete this fact. As per Article 112. As per Article 112. As per Article 112. The President has to ensure that the budget is laid down before both the houses of the Parliament. Is it fine? Presented on behalf of the President to both the houses of the Parliament. Is it fine? Now, with this, let's start the second part of polity discussion. Let's now open up constitutional provisions. The second leg that we have in polity, these articles, they are very important. We are discussing now the constitutional provisions. Quickly, I'd like to just discuss some of these articles. In fact, you must have revised it already because you're preparing static polity for prelims. Very interesting. So I'd just quickly have a discussion. Before I have a discussion, I'd like to have you in your minds. This is you, and you are going to your parents. You are going to your parents with your budget. Am I fine? You present your budget to your parents, like I just discussed. It is presented by you to your parents every month. Every month, yes or no? Yes or no? Simple. You know it more than you know. I also had this phase, quite a long one. So many months, years, the budget had to be presented. So the point is not that. I'd like to just replace you and my past with the government of India, or you can also keep in mind your government of state, whichever state you come from, or the central government. It actually goes with the budget, and it is presenting to the parliament. It is presenting to the parliament. My question is, why? You go to your parents because you are not earning. The government of India is earning lots of money. So many taxes, you know, economics, static, you know about income tax, GST, corporation tax, stamp duty, so many tax, excise duty. That's not a part of GST. So when you say that you need to go to your parents, you are dependent. Why does the government go to the parliament? Separation of powers, agreed. Separation of powers is a broad idea, agreed. But what's the constitutional provision? That's a broad article. That's 74 and 75 are basic features of parliamentary form of government. I want to be specific. Absolutely. What is that article? The answer of this is Article 266. 266. That's the first article. That's the origin of the government of India going to the legislature, because it says that money cannot be withdrawn from the CFI except the permission of the parliament. If the government of India needs to withdraw money, even a single penny, for any endeavor, any service, any scheme, any expenditure, it needs to go to the CFI. That's the major account. That's the major fund. That's the source of all the revenues, all the loans of the government of India. Entire expenditure which is carried by the government, or any expenditure that is carried by the government or in the name of the government or in the name of central government, that is all coming from CFI. The constitution is telling that this CFI needs to be in the hands, in the control of the parliament. That's the first leg. And if I just open now the next leg of articles, now the constitution has certain budget specific provisions. It has got certain budget specific provisions, certain key articles. One was 266. Then we have certain provisions, which is right at the core of the constitution. This is 100% inside budget that you see in the constitution. We have Article 112. We have Article 113. We have Article 114. Article 113, Article 114 and Article 112. I hope my pace is fine, all of you, because I'm discussing quickly. This is not current. This is just a concept I'd like to just discuss so that you get a feel of my discussions which I'll have in the actual provisions. Article 112 says that the president shall cause to be laid before both the houses the annual financial statement, and it says it has to be presented every year. It has to be presented every year. Write in keywords: president shall cause to be laid before both the houses of the parliament annual financial statement. That's the first thing. Yes or no? Right. Then there's a clause. Another one. It says that the estimates have to be shown in two accounts. One is revenue and the other is other account, and this other account is called as capital account. This other account is called as capital account. Yes or no? That if let's say the government of India is presenting money of 50 lakh crores, it will tell the parliament that what is the amount of money it is spending for long-term asset creation. For example, you are building hospitals, highways, expressways, ports, shipbuilding industry, you are developing Gati Shakti portals, you are developing roadways, you are developing railways. So all of this is basically long-term asset creation. It is shown under capital account, short-term is revenue account, and then in the third clause, it is giving you a list of charged expenditure. It is giving you a list of charged expenditure. It is giving you a list of charged expenditure. In fact, in this second clause, that is the clause where you have to present it in the form of revenue and other, it also says that you show separately charged versus made expenditure. Charged versus made expenditure. You all know that this expenditure charged in the Constitution, this cannot be voted. The entire votable part of your budget is your expenditure made. Static polity. Your money, 50 lakh crores, has to be first broken down into two accounts, revenue and capital. And then after that, it has to be shown, the expenditure has to be shown in two formats. What is expenditure charged, which is non-votable. And then second is what is expenditure made, that is the votable part. And here you have the list of expenditure charged in this last clause. For example, salary of the president, salary of the vice president, the speaker, deputy chairman, CAG, UPSC, CVC, right? The judges of the Supreme Court and the pensions of the High Court judges. In case if any new expenditure has to be certified as expenditure charged and thereby it has to be made non-votable, it is again under this last clause of Article 112. It is again a power of the Parliament. The Parliament, by passing a law, can certify any new expenditure that was earlier expenditure made, but if it wants, it can certify by passing a law and declare that expenditure to be expenditure charged. Is it fine? This is 112. Then we have this article, second article, that is Article 113. 113 basically says that expenditure charged cannot be voted. And then it says expenditure made is presented. Expenditure made is presented in the form of demand for grants. Expenditure made or the votable part of the budget. The votable part of the budget is presented in the form of demand for grants. And now a very important fact for all of you, your knowledge, that these demand for grants are voted only, very important, they are voted only in the Lok Sabha. They are voted in the Lok Sabha. This is very important. They are voted only in the Lok Sabha. They are voted only in the Lok Sabha. So whatever money of 50 lakh crores that you have, that is including expenditure charged as well as made. The expenditure charged is separated. The expenditure made, that is a huge amount of money. It is broken down into ministry-wise expenditure. Every ministry would raise one demand for grant. But big ministries like finance, big ministries like agriculture, for them, every department has got one demand for grant. If I add all of these demand for grants, it turns out to be 102. Each of them, one by one, is voted in the Lok Sabha. Once all of these demand for grants have been voted, then we go to the next stage where we present a money bill to withdraw the money from the CFI. But there's just one more clause I'd like to highlight here. which is again very important for prelims, that demand for grants are presented quickly, are presented with recommendation of Lok Sabha. Sorry, recommendation of, please correct it, President. All of it has been asked in prelims. It has been asked in civil services prelims. Right? So basically, you present demand for grants 102 only in the Lok Sabha. They'll discuss individually and they'll vote individually. And once all of it has been discussed and voted individually, 102 in number, then we automatically sequentially go to the last article, that is Article 114. This Article 114 is something that you will see in news. It is called as Appropriation Bill. It is called as Appropriation Bill. It is called as Appropriation Bill, which will now contain details of expenditure made plus expenditure charged, expenditure made, expenditure charged. This appropriation bill is nothing but an example of, what? A money bill. It contains the details of all the expenditure. So it is relating to the provisions of Article 110. Example of a money bill which is defined under Article 110. In fact, this time they had asked money bills. It's the most popular bill. They had asked you that Article 109 deals with special provision. Article 110 defines a money bill. Is it fine? These three provisions, that is Article 112, 113 and 114. And then there are some more articles. Number one here is Article 265, World History. No taxation without representation. 265 is no tax can be levied. No tax can be levied except by authority. No tax can be levied except by the authority of law. No tax can be levied except by the authority of law. Except by the authority of law. No tax can be levied except by the authority of law. Then we have Article 150. What is 150? CAG. How is 150 related here? Very good. Very good. The way the accounts have to be presented by the government of India in the budget, that format of account is certified by the CAG. That is given in Article 150. So you can just write down Article 150 like this, that. Write down like this, that the CAG certifies. The CAG certifies. The CAG certifies the manner in which the accounts have to be presented. The accounts have to be presented to the Parliament. Accounts have to be presented to the Parliament. Accounts has to be presented to the Parliament. And then if I also want to add one layer, and then we'll go to the list of documents. Just like you take the money for 1 month, but by the end of this month, let's say you find out that the money is insufficient. The exact same way the government of India has been given a provision that it has taken money it has taken 50 lakh, it will take 50 lakh crore for the future financial year 26-25, and let's say in December 31 it realizes that the money is insufficient. So in this case, the constitution has also prescribed a system of grants, and these grants are nothing but these grants are extra. These grants are extra money that is taken by the government from the parliament in case if the money that was taken in the budget as per 112, 113 and 114 is found to be insufficient. This is called as Article 115, which contains supplementary, additional and excess. And then we have Article 116, supplementary, additional, and it has got excess. 116 has vote on account, it has vote on credit, and finally it has got exceptional grant. Then finally it has got exceptional grant. So 115 has got SAE, supplementary, additional and excess. Keywords you need to write, and 115 along with 115 we've got 116. It has got vote on account, vote of credit, and then exceptional grant. Exceptional grant, right? So just to again see, what are we discussing? We are discussing the budget. Budget has got two legs, polity, economy. I've discussed with you basic facts. I've discussed with you constitutional schemes. Now let's quickly discuss this list of documents that was asked in prelims. Is it fine? You can tell me the list of documents quickly. This is the structure of this topic, right? Should I go ahead? You can write it later. Should I go ahead? So now the last leg of polity, write down the list of documents. List of documents, the last leg of polity. List of documents. What is the list of document that is presented? Tell me. सबसे पहले क्या present करेंगे? Budget. In the list of documents, we will first present the annual financial statement. What is the source of this document? The source is Article 112. Annual financial statement is presented, yes or no? Right? Then second, we'll present what? We'll present, very good, demand for grants. Source of demand for grants is which article? Just 113. Demand for grants. Demand for grants cannot be raised unless the recommendation of the president is taken. Then we'll also present appropriation bill. Yes or no? Actually, this appropriation bill is presented at later stage, but you can just write down presented at later stage. You can write down article is 114. Yes, answer is yes to your question, Prakriti. It was made in 2019. Right. Then we have finance bill. Just be aware that this is presented. Just one point I'd like to clarify. Because all of these documents are presented on February 1. This is presented at a later stage. This is presented at a later stage. Later stage means what? What is later stage? May. It is presented in second or third week of March. Second or third week of March. Second or third week of March. finance bill which contains the amendments to the tax laws like CGST Act, like Custom Tariff Act, like Customs Act, like Income Tax 1961. This is presented under Article 110. This is presented under Article 110. Yes, is a money bill. Is a money bill containing amendments to tax laws. Amendments to tax laws. For example, IT Act 1961. For examples, Customs Act 1962. For example, Customs Tariff Act 1975. And for example, CGST Act 2017. These major taxation laws which are there with the central government. Then we present two more documents which have been asked in prelims, E and F. E and F. Yes, E is macroeconomic framework statement. Macroeconomic framework statement. And then we have medium term fiscal policy, come fiscal policy, what? Strategy document. This is presented under which article of the Constitution? Very, very good. How do you know? You have basically read it. PYQ. This was a very good question. It came up, I think, 2022 or 21 prelims. 20? Okay, 20. Right. What is the law? It is called as Fiscal Responsible Budgetary Management Act 2003. Very important. These two documents, if somebody is asking me they are presented under which article, I'd say no. This is basically under the law, Fiscal Responsibility and Budgetary Management Act 2003. And then we have plethora of simplifying documents. So you can write now like this. Write like this. And some more explanatory documents. And some more explanatory documents. 114 is the article. Article 114 is the article that defines the appropriation bill. It is telling you what can be a part of appropriation bill, what amendments could be or could not be introduced under Article 114 for appropriation bill. And appropriation bill is one of the examples of a money bill which is defined under the Article 110. For example, if I look at Article 110, Article 110 has got provisions of tax, it has got provision of borrowing, it has got provision of custody of CFI or contingency fund, it has got provision of appropriation of money out of CFI, and then it has got two more provisions. This appropriation of money out of CFI, if it has to be done, how it has to be done, what will be the detail of that appropriation, that is actually given in the Article 114, because 114 along with 112 and 113, it is discussing with us the details of the budgetary provisions. Right, and before that, you've got Article 109. It is special provision of a money bill. Article 110 defines money bill, and then specific areas of appropriation bill, they are given in Article 114. Specific provisions of tax every year we find in finance bill. There is no separate article for finance bill. It is example of a money bill. But for appropriation, because the government has to take money, which is the basic survival bloodline of the government of India, the constitution discusses the article separately. So appropriation bill is a money bill, is defined under Article 110. But what is appropriation bill? What are the details? What will be the constituent units of appropriation bill? That is what you find in Article 114. Should I go ahead? Any doubts? Okay, some explanatory documents. You just need to know it in the this thing. For your just information, write down. We have, you can write down expenditure budget, then you write down receipt budget, then you write down expenditure profile, then we have budget at a glance. This is to simplify, very interesting. All the budgetary provisions, you would find it here. What you actually must have got on Telegram, on WhatsApp will be this part only, this budget at a glance. Almost budget is 50-page PDF, so you don't want to read everything. You would like flow charts and diagrams, you find it in budget at a glance. And then you write down, we have memorandum explaining provisions of finance bill. Then you have output, outcome, monitoring framework. Then we have key features of budget 2025-26. And then we have also one more very interesting document, tells you a lot. Implementation of budget announcement 2024-2025. Is it fine? So expenditure budget, receipt budget, expenditure profile, budget at a glance, then you get memorandum explaining provisions of finance bill, like the taxation laws that you actually are modifying, like the biggest change that you saw, that the income tax limit has been increased from 7 to 12, that is the income tax payment nil for any person earning a lakh a month. Then this explanation will be given in this particular provision. Output, outcome, monitoring framework, implementation of the current year's budget. I'll discuss something very interesting here, which I found out in this document, and then broadly key features of the budget of financial year 25-26. Is it fine? Is it fine? Just for your information, I would want you to be more focused here in the first part of these documents, but still I'd like to I would want you to know all of this. These are all presented by the government, for explanation. This is just to make the task of budget easy for and legible to be read, because if you read the entire financial statement, it becomes very cumbersome because it is all numbers and it is in lakhs of crores. This is just to simplify. Is it fine? This is the end of the first leg of the class. Now we'll go to the second leg. This is what you would want. This is the second leg of the class. This is the economy leg of the provisions of budget 2025-26. In this case, what should be the focus? The focus should be on the trends. The focus here should be on the trends. Focus should be on the trends. The method for this budget to be read is actually you should know the details of the various sectors of economy. And then when you discuss various sectors of economy, like I discussed with you MSMEs and gig economy and let's say female labor force participation rate, and then we always discuss, like we have to always, what steps have been taken by Government of India. So when we write those steps taken by the Government of India, the steps have to be actually put from this budget and it has to be added in the framework of the topics that you've already prepared. But because it has to be known, it's your attempt, you have to be familiar. But this is how this budgetary provisions need to be prepared for civil services main examination. And the same logic goes for economic survey also. Economic survey, if you analyze it right now, chapter by chapter, your focus should be on the broad trends. What is increasing, what is decreasing, and the reason. The details of these survey chapters, they are not important for prelims. They are just anecdotes and they are just references that you can use to justify your arguments in the interview or let's say in the mains. For example, if I ask you, what are the challenges that we are facing in development and regulation of AI? Do you think that AI is a significant employment concern? So what the chapter of survey for AI was, you need to pick up the points from there and add it for the way like we had done for MSME and the way we had done for climate change, where we had seen that the approach of climate change has to change entirely and India needs to take a lead by actually going for what type of strategy? We need to focus on mission life, which is focusing on PPP, pro planet people. That is nothing but a manifestation where we are trying to say that the chain of food, it has to be minuscule, you have to consume locally. So that mission life as an example was analyzed further at depth in that economic survey by presenting you data. So they basically collate research papers and they arrange, and based on that research paper they present the arguments. So when we'll take the survey, I'd like to fit in definitely the areas for prelims, but all in all, the broad aspects which I'll discuss, that be when I'll take those topics for civil services mains. Like most of them, agriculture we need to do, climate change and all which I've taken, we'll just add the anecdotes in that discussion. Is it fine? Do you understand my arguments? Right, very good. So you write down for economy, first I'll discuss with you some statistics, then I'll discuss with you the backdrop in which I was expecting before February 1, what were your expectations, and then finally we'll go to the budget 2025-26 and then we do a brief analysis. Right? Should I start? Okay. Let's first start with the first leg of discussion. Let's start with the first leg. We'll discuss some primary area of statistics. Statistics. First statistic which I need to always know is, where does rupee come from? That is what government says. I'd like to write here what? Revenue or receipt. Revenue is only the earnings, but what is coming in your pocket, that also includes the borrowings. For example, you are earning, I'm earning, let's say from this batch, and I also take some money from you. So that is not my revenue, that's my receipt. So we will actually discuss, first is receipts. In terms of receipts, you know that the biggest portion is of borrowing and other liabilities. This is constituting, it's almost the same, it is constituting 24%. Then after this, we have income tax, which is constituting 22% of the total receipts. After income tax, we have what? GST, along with GST, which is constituting, write down 18%. After GST, we have next what? Corporation tax. Corporation tax you can write down is 17%. After corporation tax, you write down we have non-tax receipts. What are non-tax receipts? Yeah, RBI dividend. Example, a behemoth was given by RBI in the current year, right? That is why we could attain the fiscal target of 4.8%, which was in the budget for current year 4.9. And then after non-tax receipts, you can just write down we have union excise duty. This is 5%, and non-tax receipts is 9%. Union excise duty includes all those excise duties which are not a part of, which have not been made a part of the goods and services tax. So this needs to be by-hearted for your prelims. Broadly, if I just look at it, the first head is borrowings, then I get income tax, then you get GST, and then you get corporation tax. Broadly, corporation tax proportion is decreasing, income tax and GST is increasing if I look at the contribution in the overall taxation. In the overall taxation revenues, one of the reasons which I'd like to also discuss here is that the corporate tax was given the benefit, or I can say reduction, in 2019. Unfortunately, this was given to boost investment, but this investment has not really boosted. It was only used for capital intensive purposes rather than focusing on labor intensive purposes. And because I am discussing it, because for labor intensive work, my government has done quite a lot for sectors like food processing, for sectors like leather and non-leather, and for sectors very interesting which I find, sectors like toys. Toy industry is a huge industry, but unfortunately not very organized in India. One reason is poverty. How would a poor man buy a toy? Toys are fancy things, so it's a very good industry, much developed, focused in the country of US. So we are trying to emulate them and focus on toy making. This is the broad trend of receipts. Now let me just go to the second leg of expenditure. Expenditure. This is how the government of India presents the heads. First is share of taxes and duties of the states, because you know that the government of India is earning taxes, income tax, corporation tax, you all know it. But you know, that's not all in all in the hands of the central government. It has to be shared by the central government with the state government. And just to also inform you in bracket here, as per RECO of which finance commission are we in right now? 15th Finance Commission, that is 2021 to 26. And this vertical devolution was what percentage? Very good. It is 41%. 13th FC was 32%. 14th FC was 42. 15th made it 41 because J&K was made a separate union territory. It has got a separate budgetary provision. Right. Share of duties of taxes, and this is just 22%. Then after this, you can write down, second is the loan that we have taken. You need to pay interest on that. This is interest payments 20%. Then you have money on central sector scheme. Central sector scheme, excluding capital outlay on defense and subsidy. Capital outlay on defense and subsidy. Actually, the thing is that in this record, the government of India, this is shown separately. So defense expenditure is shown by the government of India separately. The subsidy, which is also a central sector scheme, food, fertilizer and fuel subsidies given by the government of India, it's a part of central sector scheme which is not involving any state. In centrally sponsored schemes, you've got 90-10 and 60-40 for northeastern and other states respectively. This is a central sector scheme which is 100% funded by center. But so for the classification done by the government in this expenditure, it is showing defense subsidy separately. So we are specifically writing this is central sector scheme is completely excluding subsidy and defense, and then you can write down the central sector scheme is constituting 16%. It is constituting 16% of the total expenditure, and then you can just write down broadly you can just write down all of them are at 8%. All of them are at 8%. Just see, exact depth is not required. The top two are more than sufficient, but these are the expenditure heads. 8% you have other expenditure, then 8% you have on centrally sponsored schemes, 8% you have finance commission and other transfers. These are basically grants which are transferred to the states as per recommendation of finance commission, and then this also includes your defense. It also includes your defense. And then I'm writing it here. Then you have subsidies, which is 6%. And then finally, in the end, you can write down after subsidies, you've got again a big chunk, which is pensions. This is 4%. This is 4%. Now focus here, no confusions. If I look at the expenditure of the government, first I'm spending maximum on, I have earned taxes. Now I need to devolve 41% vertical devolution to all the states. That is taking 22%. After this, the government of India has taken loans for which it has to pay interest. That is 20%. After this, there are so many central sector schemes which are 100% funded by the central government, excluding defense and subsidy. They are shown separately. That is 16%. Then 8% each for other expenditure, centrally sponsored schemes, finance commission and other transfers, and defense expenditure. And then finally we have penultimate, second last, subsidies, and then we have finally in the end the last is pensions. So I'd want you to focus on the first three: taxes, your interest payments, and central sector schemes. I'll remember it as TIC. For receipts, I'll remember it as BIGC. Big C, tick, and big C. Big C. Big C is the decreasing order of. Big C is the decreasing order of what? Expenditure or receipt? Receipts. Very important. You have to remember it. Big C and tick. Tick diseases we had discussed in the last class. Is that fine? Which disease? Yeah, Kaisanur forest disease. Why all the zoonotic ones are found in Kerala only, we had discussed. That was a doubt also that some of you had. Right? Big C is for B, remember borrowing. Borrowing is your receipt, and then tick is your expenditure. Right? Should I go ahead? Very important fact. Then you write down the next leg of discussion here. Then you write down the deficit trends. This is very important. The deficit trends. What are the deficits that you have? Very good. Fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, very good. Primary deficit, and then what else? Then you write down effective revenue deficits. Revenue deficit minus interest payments is your ERD. I hope all of you know these definitions. Otherwise, we'll end up having this class never ending. All of it are consistently increasing or decreasing. ये बढ़ना चाहिए, कम होना चाहिए? कम. तो कम हो रहा है, बढ़ रहा है? अरे नहीं, consistently decreasing. From what to what? This year is very important. It is decreasing from 2021-22 till 2025-26 budget estimate. दूसरा, total transfers to states and UTs. What are total transfers, Gurleen? Slightly technical. What are total transfers? Slightly technical, I'm going. Centrally sponsored schemes. Punjab government will be wanting money for PM Shri. Right? Then your devolution of taxes, which is given to your state. Then there is grants and aids. Grants and aids which is given to your state. That is basically given under the recommendations of Finance Commission. So all of it is decreasing or increasing? Very good. Decreasing होगा तो बवाल हो जाएगा states में. It is. यही बातें आपको लिखनी है. Consistently increasing. Period is 2021-22 to 26. कितना लाख करोड़ है वो नहीं हम जानना चाहेंगे. Only taxes. 40-41% of devolution is basically like this. These are the union taxes. ठीक है? Union taxes सारे except cesses, except surcharge, except GST, because GST's sharing is half. There is no Finance Commission involved there. We have got GST Council there. So we also raised problems when GST Council was formed. We had said that in terms of fiscal federalism, the powers of Finance Commission that were compromised earlier in the era of Planning Commission, with GST Council coming in, the powers of the constitutional body has further got diminished, because Finance Commissions are clearly appointed as a quasi-judicial body, but GST Council is headed by the Finance Ministers of Center and State. No matter, we are not disagreeing with them, they are also having the State Finance Ministers, but this is a 100% independent constitutional body having fiscal experts as members and the chairperson. So it recommends 41%. What it has is gross tax revenue, then it devolves. Your state governments, all in all, they get combined, they get 41%. And then now what is left here, this is called as net tax revenue of the central government. हाँ, ये shares of taxes है ना, shares of taxes and duties which will also be including. This is one part. This is as per the recommendations of Finance Commission. Then the collection which is coming from the goods and services tax, that is shared as per the recommendation of GST Council, that will basically be going to the revenue kitty of the states, that is consolidated fund of states given in the constitution under Article 266. Should I go ahead? Right. Now with this, total transfers to states are increasing. Now you write down expenditure trends. This next part is, this was what? D. Now you write down expenditure trends. Basically, which particular ministry or which particular item, will get what percentage of money in terms of the total expenditure pattern of the government of India. So in this case, if I look at the expenditure trends in terms of items, and this is not ministry wise, मंत्रालय के हिसाब से हमने पैसा नहीं देखा, हमने उस सेक्टर में कितना पैसा जा रहा है हम उसको देख रहे हैं. मंत्रालय वाला हिसाब भी अभी आपको देंगे, not ministry wise. What is it? Anyone knows? This is defense. How much? This is 4.9 lakh crore. Then second is rural development. This is almost 2.6 lakh crore. Then we have home. Then we have agriculture and allied. Then we have education. And then we have health, urban development, IT and telecom, and then we have energy. Now you can see that I said not ministry wise because allied is a separate ministry. Which ministry? Ministry of Fisheries, Dairying and Animal Husbandry. Social welfare is one department. Social welfare will be basically under tribal affairs and social justice and empowerment. Energy similarly is a part under Ministry of Natural Gas, Ministry of Coal and Ministry of Power. All these sectors are together separated. If you want to look at the ministry wise list, then this is what you can write. Ministry wise maximum will go to, write down, Ministry of Finance. You can write down 19.39 lakh crore. Then second we have is MOD. This is 6.81 lakh crore. Then we have is, good guess, guess the ministry. No, not bad guess. No, MORTH. MORTH is Road Transport and Highway, and this is write down. MORTH is 2.87 lakh crore. Ministry of Railways 2.55 lakh crore. What is the number that we are looking at? We are comparing with 50 lakh crore. That's the total budget of the Government of India for the year. Ministry of Home Affairs, and then we have Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. This is the one that implements your PDS. So all in all, just remember this sequence: items and ministries. Road transport and railways, this is very high because, yes, very good. This is constituting, very good, constituting 75% of capital expenditure. I hope you're liking it. It's not getting a bit technical. It's simple fact, you have to get familiar for the budget. Is it clear? We are just analyzing the data. We are collating it from different newspaper sources. ठीक है, समझ में आ रहा है? बहुत आसान है वैसे. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस देखे आपने, मतलब समझा, फिर आपने डॉक्यूमेंट्स देखे, वो भी बड़ा आसान था और वो पूछा हुआ है. फिर हमने स्टैट्स देखे, कुछ 5-6 मेजर स्टैट्स वी हैव सीन, and this is the one that's slightly, I think, new for you, but that's okay. I think it's very simple for you to understand. Is it fine? Now let's go ahead after this. Now, after this, let's come to the fertilizers and the other subsidies. Please write down subsidies. F. Subsidies, first, second, third. Which is the maximum? Fertilizer. Fertilizer subsidy you can write down just for your information. You can use it in your discussions. This is 1.68 lakh crore. Then you've got food. Food is 2.03 crore. Just check the subsidy for food. Food is showing more, its fertilizer should be more to me. Can you just check quickly fertilizer versus food subsidy in the budget? I've pasted from the document so that rupee sign is sometimes shown as letter 7. Give me the number. Yes. Just correct it. It is 2.03, so I'll just correct it. This is fertilizer. Food is 2.03 lakh crore. Fertilizer is 1.68, and then third you write down is petroleum. Petroleum is 0.12 lakh crore. This is reduced because of stabilization of supplies. Food has reduced or increased? Reduced because of ending of PM Antyodaya Yojana. PM Antyodaya Yojana, under which what was done? Extra 5 kg was provided to a family. Antyodaya. Right? This is ending, and then this is all the same. If I just add all of it, this number is very popular. It is 1.1% of GDP, or I can say it is almost 10%, 9.5% of quite a lot. My revenue expenditure, quite a lot. So we say that when I analyze my agriculture sector, we are saying that we should move from subsidy to public investment and what? Public investment and what? And marketing reforms. This is the argument that we actually use. That is why this is very important for civil services mains. Is it fine? I'll add layers like this so that we have mains also in my perspective. So whenever you write any question on agriculture, you can simply write that 1.1% of the GDP is being spent, whereas in my opinion, I think what do you think? Should there be a legal strategy, legal guarantee of MSP? Yes, sir. I think farmers should be given MSP. But in my opinion, we need to move from subsidy-driven approach to larger investment in agriculture and also focusing on marketing reforms, because MSP was brought in the era of food shortage, that was 1960s and 70s. But now I think sectors like pisciculture, sectors like dairying, sectors like apiculture, sectors like floriculture, they have got a significant potential. If he further is listing, for example, in my state or in my village, farmers have started pisciculture initiatives, which has reaped them wonderful benefits. Even if you stay inside Connaught Place, just have a innovative hypothetical village, give him example, and that is how you need to score well, by giving personal observation based examples, arguments of everything that is being asked to you in the interview. Is it clear? Right. And then you write down the final stats just to play with these numbers, because the finance minister gave it. Now I'll discuss with you revised estimates, and then we'll go to the budget backdrop. Revised estimates for which year? 2024, 25, and then you have budget estimates. This is 2025, 26. So first, I will include total receipts except borrowing. This is almost 31.47 lakh crore, out of which taxes, net tax was 25 lakh crore. Just to give you the numbers, total expenditure was how much? 47 lakh crore. This was the budget for 24-25. Almost the same is the revised estimate also. The capex here was 10 lakh crore. It was reduced from the budget estimate of 11.11 lakh crore. And then finally, the fiscal deficit is how much? 4.8% of GDP. The budget estimate of 2024-25 was 4.9% of GDP. Right. So from a revised estimate of 47 lakh crores, I'd like to jump here. The total expenditure for this year is how much? This is 50.65 lakh crore. This is the budget that we have just seen. Total receipts is how much? 34.96 lakh crore. And in this case, the net tax is 28.37 lakh crore. This is increasing despite tax cuts. Sarkar is very much hopeful on direct taxes only. On income taxes, they are focusing on efficient reforms that they have. They are focusing on efficient tax administration that they have. Right. I just want you to know, because I'll question the analysis. You are saying that you will fulfill the fiscal deficit target despite having a revenue loss of almost 1 lakh crore in income taxes. This is the total net tax collection. 1 लाख करोड़ का नुकसान होने के बावजूद भी सरकार को लग रहा है कि हमारा जो net tax revenue है, that is including income taxes, that will increase by almost, I'd say, 14%. 25 लाख करोड़ से 28 लाख करोड़, ये मेरे हिसाब से 14% का हाइक है. 12-13% लगा लीजिए, बहुत ज्यादा है. Despite 1 lakh crore being lost, so I want to ask all of you, is it really, are we being over optimistic? If I go into too much details, just as a food for thought, though we will not go so heavy in the exam, but I just want you to be familiar with the numbers, ताकि अगले साल और भी अच्छा लगे बजट. ऐसा ना हो कि अरे तो याद करना पड़ रहा है, कुछ याद करने का नहीं है. And then fiscal deficit target that we have given is 4.4% of GDP. So I'm saying that you want to reduce your expenditure, right? You have increased everything from 47, you have made it 50 lakh crore. Tax revenues, you have foregone of 1 lakh crore of income tax. Despite that, the total revenue, which includes, I agree, corporation tax, which includes GST, includes income tax also. Despite 1 lakh crore being lost, we are expecting a hike because of better administration. The government of India expects that we are reaching to this number of 34.96 lakh crore total revenue, obviously excluding the borrowings, because you are calculating only the revenue, right? And then finally, you've got net tax of 28.37 lakh crore. This is what I'll pick up in the end, right? Is it fine? So these are the broad stats that we have discussed here. Just broad stats for you to understand. First is this. Then we have seen deficit trends. Then I've seen transfer to states. Then I've seen how this this doubt was there. This is not the main part. Then expenditure trends I have seen. And then I've moved on to subsidies. And then I've moved on to the revised estimates as compared to what I've seen, because this was presented by the government of India in the speech just before she was about to start part B of her speech, which I'll just discuss. Right, but that's very interesting. Just try to get a feel of it. And then we finally reach where? Now I start the second part of economy. This is the backdrop. Backdrop, or you can say background. Backdrop in which the budget was presented. Right, this is the backdrop in which the budget was presented. Because with this, when I know the backdrop, when I know this backdrop, then I'd be able to do what? Then my eyes will open. What are these? Eyes. These eyes will open, and then you'd be assume these are eyes, any species that you want. These are your eyes, and with this eyes you'd be now understanding the provisions of the budget. तब समझ में आएगा कि ये माजरा है क्या. अब पहले मुझे बताओ बैकड्रॉप क्या था 1 फरवरी से पहले. First I'd say my domestic, give me the numbers, play with the numbers. The domestic subdued growth, because the advance estimates of 2024-25, they are giving me the GDP growth of 6.4%. Right? So domestic subdued growth. So the concern here was we might be in pre-pandemic growth scenario. That was the first thing. I would like to tell you, in 1920, I had grown at a GDP growth rate of 5%. I'm rounding off to be 5%. So these slacks of these years of growth that you have seen in the past 4 years, I'm asking you, is it really because of the growth that was taking place, or was it just because of the excessive investment by the government that was carried out? Second, there is slackening or reduced demand. Demand from the private consumers because of stagnation of real wages. The income of the people I know in my country, which I though I have not taken unemployment separately, I'll take it in my lectures after prelims. Those first 2-3 questions that come up in GS3, 1 or 2 10 markers, or let's say 1 or 2 15 markers, they all will discuss jobless growth and all these scenarios. There is stagnation of real wages in what sector? Non-farm sector. There is also what? There is reversal of workforce that is employed in agriculture. More and more females, more and more males are going back to the cities and they are getting employed in agriculture. That is not what I want. That is not what I want. Do you want this? What do you want? Do you want to move away from agriculture, or do you want to come back to agriculture? I'm worried about this fact, because also there is tremendous rise. There is tremendous rise in female labor force participation rate. But I should not be very happy, because this rise is in self-employed enterprise. This rise is in employed enterprise. So in self-employed enterprise, they are basically performing unpaid work. They are performing unpaid work. There is also financialization of the economy that is taking place. Financialization of economy. People are moving from banks to डीमैट अकाउंट्स. सबको शेयर में पैसा लगाना है. हमने भी लगाया था, पर जब से स्लंप आया ऐसा बुरा हाल हुआ है कि देखने का मन ही नहीं कर रहा. इज इट फाइन? आप में से कोई ऐसा तो नहीं है जो किसी लॉस का भागीदार है? ऐसा लॉस कि मतलब देख के डर लग रहा है कि अच्छा ये मैंने किया. मैं ही था वो. गुड कंपनीज, वेरी गुड कंपनीज. कई बार तो इतना बुरा हुआ कि 5 लगाए और 2.5 भी नहीं मिल रहे. उसके बाद ये लास्ट जो सरकार बदली उसमें और ज्यादा गिरावट. इसके साथ साथ देयर इज व्हाट प्रॉब्लम? देयर इज पुअर कॉर्पोरेट इन्वेस्टमेंट. There is poor corporate investment, which is leading to job crisis in manufacturing. है कि नहीं? इसमें कोई डिसएग्रीमेंट है? ये मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूं. I'm discussing it. तभी हम बजट को एनालाइज कर पाएंगे. पे सरकार ने सोचा होगा, सितंबर से ही गवर्नमेंट लग जाती है, फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री, टू प्रिपेयर द बजट. एंड देन व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट दिस पार्ट? There are global headwinds. जैसे आप बचपन में कभी दौड़ में भागे हो या वैसे ही भागे हो, एक हवा सामने से आती है जो आपको तेज करती है या रोकती है? रोकती है. ड्रैग जनरेट करती है, उसको वैसे बोलेंगे हेडविंड. और कई बार आप भाग रहे होते हो और पीछे से इतनी तेज हवा आ रही होती है, आपको लगता है हुसैन बोल्ट बन गए. उससे क्या बोलते हैं? टेलविंड. एक और होती है, एक आगे से, एक पीछे से, एक बगल से, साइड से. उसे बोलते हैं क्रॉसविंड. तो क्रॉसविंड था. क्रॉसविंड का तो लॉजिक इकोनॉमी में नहीं होगा. हेडविंड्स हैं, या आपको पीछे से धक्का दिया जा रहा है कि उड़ो 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 7, 8, 9% विकसित भारत, या रोका जा रहा है नीचे उतर नीचे उतर नीचे उतर. 8% तो सिर्फ पैंडेमिक में था, अब असली तुम 4.5, 5% ग्रो करोगे. हेडविंड्स हैं, टेलविंड्स हैं? हेडविंड्स. क्यों हेडविंड्स क्यों है? देयर इज सबड्यूड ग्रोथ इन वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड. देयर इज ऑल्सो वॉर विच इज नाउ न्यूट्रलाइजिंग. जब बजट बना था तब तो था ही इजराइल फिलिस्तीन. देयर इज ऑल्सो द कंसर्न ऑफ yes, now there is now rise in tarification. Trump साहब ने, प्रधानमंत्री will visit in February after the, I don't know whether the meeting has been finalized. Till 2 days back, Mr. Trump has confirmed. Okay, today he confirmed.
Foreign Secretary confirmed.
Okay, today itself, right?
Yes.
Okay, then that's very nice, because after the AI summit of France, Paris actually, he will now go to, the PM will go to US and meet the president, and we'll discuss this concern, because he has said the BRICS countries, they'll get 100% tariff if they even think about BRICS currency, of which we are not a party. India does not believe in having alternative currency. We are willing in having alternative payment system. We don't believe in de-dollarization per se, but yes, we want to ensure that our trade supplies, they are remaining stagnating in the light of the crisis that we are facing, to make payments to the Russians in the light of present era of sanctions. ये इंटरव्यू में पूछेंगे आपसे, ऐसे ही पूछते हैं, what do you think? पर वो जीमैट के पेपर की तरह होता है, आपको उनको बोलना है. ऐसे घबराइए मत कि बोल के चुप हो जाइए, और ऐसा भी नहीं बोलते ही जा रहे हैं. कम शब्दों में, प्रिसाइज में, 2-3 लाइनों में अपना आर्गुमेंट रखिए. However, I think this should be the case. उनको अपने आप समझ में आ जाएगा. Is it fine? there is tarification, there is war. And what about China? चीन के क्या हाल हैं? चीन में हालात अच्छे हैं या बुरे हैं? बहुत बुरे. There is a domestic slowdown. So they'll do what? They are willing to dump their exports. They are willing to dump their exports. That is what civil services does to you. If you become an officer at this age, you become secretary to Government of India and US. You'll be talking to the foreign secretary, Secretary of State. I hope you go to the US embassy only after you qualify the exam. That is the power that you will have. Not power, you are above the debate of power. You will be straight away negotiating with the Secretary of State. Itni responsibility you would be having. The PM, the ministry will be straight away talking to you. What steps, your diplomatic skills, they'll come to the fore. The best, the top 100 people in the world, I'd say will be one of them. The rise of India that we all are witnessing. So you should try everything for the exam and not think about your 20s, entire 20s, even 30s if it is going in the exam, give it. If you qualify, everything is yours. If you don't qualify, वो वैसे कहानी खत्म थी, थोड़ी और जल्दी खत्म हो जाएगी, पर हो जाएगा, उसके स्टेक्स ज्यादा हैं. जबरदस्त टेलविंड मिलेगी आपको. हेडविंड तो आप ले ही रहे हैं जब से स्नातक की डिग्री आपने ली है. Is that fine, all of you? Do you understand my points? So now, should I start now the budget? Now, this is the perspective with which you would analyze the budget. Now let's come to, should I go ahead, yes or no? Should I go ahead, yes or no? Yes. Now is it fine? Now you write down, all of you, the budget provisions. The budget provisions, this is of 2025, 2026. 2025, 2026. Right. So, this is what the finance minister said, that all the initiatives which I'll discuss with you, they have a broad area. They are focusing on broad area with the focus on who? With the focus on Gyan. G for Garib. Y for youth. A for, yes, A for Annadata. N for Nari. Very good. So this is the focus of this year's 50 lakh crore. Garib, फिर युवा, दूसरा farmers, I would say rural sector, and last is women. Am I clear? And then broad areas of the government, they are 10. It has identified 10 areas. Very simple. I would not want you to remember it, but I remember it, so that's okay. Just to teach. Not very heavy for the exam. राय बहादुर साहब से राय साहब याद कर लीजिए, MM, और फिर EI, EEI. ये याद करना आसान है, though I don't want you to remember it. R for resilience and rural prosperity. A for agriculture. Productivity. Agriculture productivity. I for, guess करो, I for inclusive growth. Inclusive growth, when we talk, we'll always talk about the people who are staying in villages first. M for engine of growth, MSME, which I taught you. Those schemes which I discussed, they have got changes if you noticed. Yes, याद है या याद नहीं रहा? जब बजट देखा, बजट देख के याद था कि अरे अरे ये तो ऐसे बदला है, ये बदलाव हुआ है, ये तो सर ने पढ़ाया था पूरा. M for manufacturing. M for manufacturing. E for jobless growth, employment. Then I for investing in by people, innovation and economy. E for energy security, critical mineral mission. याद आया? उसके बाद दूसरा ही, बिना इसके कुछ नहीं होगा. Exports, I'll tell you, exports mission. And I for in the end is innovation. So my government of India, G for Garib. Is that fine? That is the focus of the government of India. Focus is what? Focus is what? Gyan, Garib, youth, Annadata and Nari. For the focus, they have some initiatives which I'll discuss. What initiatives have been taken by the government of India for these four, Gyan? All of them broadly, they can be looked into at from 10 things: resilience, rural prosperity, then agriculture, inclusive growth, manufacturing, because you want to increase manufacturing's role to 25% of GDP. It is right now 17%. I want to focus on MSMEs. They are the growth engines. 46% of the export is coming from MSMEs. We had seen when I had taken MSMEs as the topic. Then E for employment. You are going back to the agri sector. It has to go towards manufacturing and MSMEs and services. You are coming back. So there is reversal of employment. I can put it that way. There is energy security. Invest in people, innovation economy. There is exports, and then there is innovation. Now these innovation or these initiatives which I'll write to further continue, these initiatives the government has planned, imagining itself as a car. This is a cyber truck. The days of car are gone. But I need to explain you, it cannot be a cyber truck. It has to be a truck, because cyber truck does not have engine. It has got a battery, but it has got engine. It has got engine. This is the car. This is Bharat Sarkar's car. This is budget. This is India. This car will go towards where? This car will go towards where? कहाँ जा रही है गाड़ी? लॉन्ग ड्राइव पे कहाँ जाएगी? This car is going towards the destination. Destination विकसित भारत. विकसित भारत by 2047. इंजन में 4 किस्में इंजन है इसमें. This is a V4 engine. First is agriculture, then is MSME. ठीक है. तीसरा you can write down is investment. Sorry, investment. Investment किसमें? By people, innovation and economy, and then the last you can write down here is export. ठीक है. अब इस गाड़ी को फ्यूल चाहिए. फ्यूल क्या होगा? इंजन तो स्पीड देगा, एग्रीकल्चर पे ध्यान देंगे, एक्सपोर्ट्स पे, इनोवेशन पे। फ्यूल, तेल कौन सा होगा, पेट्रोल, डीजल, कौन सा, इथेनॉल ब्लेंडेड। इसमें फ्यूल होंगे रिफॉर्म्स, टैक्सेशन रिफॉर्म्स, इंडस्ट्रियल रिफॉर्म्स, फाइनेंशियल रिफॉर्म्स, रेगुलेटरी आर्किटेक्चर में बदलाव किया जाएगा। और ये जो गाड़ी चल रही है, इस गाड़ी के ऊपर इसका लार्जर थॉट क्या है, इंक्लूसिविटी। जब ये गाड़ी डेस्टिनेशन की तरफ जा रही है, इट इज गाइडेड बाय द स्पिरिट ऑफ इंक्लूसिविटी। तो आप जो मान लीजिए, जो गाड़ी में गाने चलाए जा रहे हैं, वो कोई ऐसे नहीं है जो आजकल चल रहे हैं, ये पुराने गाने रफी जी के, किशोर कुमार जी के चल रहे हैं, अच्छी भावनाओं के साथ आगे बढ़ा जा रहा है। द गाइडिंग स्पिरिट इज इंक्लूसिविटी। Is it fine? This is how the government of India has broadly presented the budget. It has introduced by saying that I'll focus on, just 1 minute, I'll focus on Gyan. All the initiatives, they span across 10 broad initiatives. Then it says, in my journey, I'll focus on inclusion. I will go towards Viksit Bharat, and I will make some drastic reforms in the economy, and I'll focus on these 4 areas. These are the focus areas where I'll actually focus on. I'll make some reforms. Inclusivity is spirit, and thereby I'll finally proceed to the larger goal of the economy of Viksit Bharat. Is it fine? Right. And then before we go into the details, the framework is, the budget is divided into Part A. Part A is where she will discuss the expenditure heads or various schemes, focusing on several broad areas which have been discussed above, as discussed above. And then we'll discuss in the end, which is slightly less important, Part B. Part B are nothing but the taxation related changes. And if I talk about the bills, these taxation related changes, they will get reflected in which bill? They will get reflected in finance bill, which is a money bill under Article 110. And these expenditure heads, they will get reflected in appropriation bill, which is basically defined in the Article 110, but it is an example of a money bill. Is it fine? Right? Part A and Part B. Part B is slightly less important. Part A is what we all need to know. आप भी सोच रहे होंगे अब आएगा बजट, अब आएगा इनिशिएटिव, अब आएगा आपके सामने, वो जल्दी जल्दी होता जाएगा। ये ज्यादा जरूरी है मेरे हिसाब से। स्ट्रेट क्वेश्चंस इनिशिएटिव से नहीं आते, वो समझने के लिए ये बताना जरूरी है। Is it fine? Anyways, I was discussing budget. Now let's start with the Part A. Let's start with the Part A. Let's go ahead now. Now let's start with Part A. Part A's first engine is, yes, the first engine is engine of agriculture. First is engine of agriculture. Broad problems we have is, there is low productivity. Quickly write down, I'll now pace up. There is low productivity. There is what? Climate change related concerns. Quickly tell me, this should all be this ready answer. Then there is also disasters increasing and affecting the productivity. Then there is also high input cost There is also requirement of marketing reforms. There has to be focus on post-harvest storage, transportation, and cold chain network. There is also focus on dry land and agriculturally poor areas, and there has to be focus on feminization of agriculture. These are the broad problems I know my government would need to focus. Before I enter agriculture, these are the problems that my government has. In this case, the first scheme which has been launched by the government, which is propelling the engine of agriculture ahead, this is a very popular scheme. This is called as PM Dhan Dhanya. PM Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. PM Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. PM Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. First is, it will work in partnership with states. Work in partnership with states. So there is again example of cooperative federalism, and it is inspired from aspirational districts program. Aspirational districts program. Basically what it is focusing on, which districts? 100 backward districts. How many farmers? 1.7 crore farmers who basically face issues of low productivity, which I know is my first problem if I want to focus on agriculture. Second is, there is moderate cropping intensity, and then there is problem of below average credit. So what is the aim? Aim is simple: crop diversification. First is crop diversification. Second is what? Increase irrigation, basically everything. Increase post-harvest. Provide credit, which is long-term and short-term, and all in all enhance what? Agriculture productivity. So this is nothing but a broad scheme which is focusing on Gyan, and this is focusing on broadly inclusive development. Is it fine? So PM Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana is the first scheme focusing on better inputs broadly. 1.7 crore farmers, 100 districts, the backward ones in eastern part of India, they'd be identified as a pilot project. That's the first thing which I need to focus on. Should I go ahead? Yes or no? Post-harvest facilities, increase in irrigation, increase in post-harvest facilities, provide credit. That is what we mean. Increase, this is a short form kind of thing I'm writing. You also write this way, right? Then we come to the second scheme, because I want to promote resilience as one of the broad areas. This scheme is write down promoting rural prosperity along with resilience, prosperity, along with resilience. Yes. Broadly, basically, you will do what? It's a multi-sectoral program, and it is again in partnership with the states. What is the focus? In prosperity, if I want prosperity, I would need money. And because I told you there is people coming back to agriculture, it is focusing on underemployment in agriculture. Underemployment in agriculture by doing what? By having skilling initiatives, by having investment, by focusing on technology, and finally, it says that migration, palayan, should be a necessity or an option? Should be option, but not necessity. कि जरूरी नहीं हो कि हर व्यक्ति को गांव से आना हो शहरों की तरफ, उसकी मर्जी हो तब आए. जो गांव में ही अंडर एम्प्लॉयमेंट है उसको हम एड्रेस कर देंगे तो अपने आप व्यक्ति वो क्यों गांव छोड़ के आएगा? अगर आपके शहर में अच्छी क्लासेस होंगी तो आप दिल्ली क्यों आएंगे? समथिंग लाइक दैट, राइट? एंड देयर बाय यू राइट डाउन द फोकस ऑफ द प्रोग्राम विल बी ऑन. कौन होंगे फोकस? याद है वो? युवा, लैंडलेस लेबरर्स, women, small and marginal farmers, फिर युवा farmers, young farmers. So how will the program, the strategy here is, write down, please write down. This is very simple. Strategy here is, there is enterprise, quickly write down simple points. There is enterprise development, because you are promoting underemployment, so you cannot involve them on field. You have to do something of the fact that you basically have to create employment opportunities for them. So on field it cannot be created. So you basically have enterprise development. Then you write down diversifying the opportunities by focusing on productivity and warehousing. Write down next point. Write down please that they'd be global and domestic best practices, and focus will be on, because we are starting it as a pilot. It is a pilot where we'll be focusing on 100 districts. Right. And there's also one more feature. They'd be also looking for assistance from multilateral development banks. This is an interesting feature. So basically you're taking prosperity by taking agriculture at a global stage. Is it fine? Now let's write down, this is a very important mission. This is for pulses. For pulses we have Atma Nirbharta in pulses. Atmanirbharta in pulses because of import bill. despite being largest producer and consumer of pulses. And in this case, I'd like to tell you 45%, very popular fact, of pulses production is which dal? Urad ki, tur is arhar, ya masoor ki. You know dals? You eat them, but you do not know them. Very good. Chana. Chana is इंग्लिश में क्या बोलते हैं? चिकपीस. चना, काबुली चना basically. 45% of it is this thing. So basically it has been thought on the lines of national mission on what? Edible oil seeds. Because this is also a matter of import. So when you want to have Atmanirbharta in pulses and you have this particular area, so we have now this mission which will be running for 6 years with special focus on TUM, T-U, tur, which is also called as अरहर की दाल. सांभर की दाल जो आप खाते हैं वो अरहर होता है. It's popular in पूर्वांचल. Yeah, it's not eaten in this bell, it's eaten in the अरहर की दाल with that imli. It's typical diet. Yeah, Purvanchal and Bihar it's eaten. U is urad, and then M write down is masoor. ये तो सभी को पता है, अच्छी बात है. I did not know. I always get confused. तूड़ को अंग्रेजी में क्या बोलेंगे? अरहर को? ये किसी को नहीं पता. यूपीएससी ने पूछा है एक बार. Very good. They ask these questions in BPSC? Okay, very good. You know it. There is lot for you in the budget. I'd ask you when I'd come to that. I was thinking of you when I looked at the initiatives. Udad is basically what? काली दाल कहते हैं इसे. पंजाब में तो बहुत खाते हैं. दाल मखनी, बिल्कुल. हाँ, माँ गया. इसको अंग्रेजी में क्या बोलते हैं? इसको लिखिए, अंग्रेजी में बोलते हैं ब्लैक ग्राम. अभी खिलाओ इनको गुरलीन पंजाब की दाल. खासा खाते हैं. और उड़द, actually you call it lentils. Lentil is a broad term for dal. You call it lentil or you call it red lentil. So you can write down. Largest producer of tur you would not know. You would expect UP, but it is Maharashtra. Urad is MP. In fact, MP is doing very well in growth rate of agriculture. Quite a lot of work has happened there. And you also had that scheme, right? Bhavantar Bhugtan Yojana. Mr. Shivraj Chauhan is now the Agri Minister. It's a very important portfolio. Very important portfolio. Right? Masood is again MP. And chickpeas largest producer is Maharashtra. Right. And now what will be the focus? Focus is what? Climate resilient. Climate resilient seeds, isn't it? Climate resilient seeds. Then protein content, very important. Obviously, you would focus on productivity, which is very low. And then you will focus on post-harvest management and getting them remunerative prices. You know, that's the beauty of civil services. I remember there was a question that came up in pre on pulses on the trends of pulses production, for which you just had to know this fact, that 45 to 50% of the pulses which are grown is actually काबुली चना, सफेद चना भी जिसको हम कहते हैं. काला चना is different, this is different. Chickpeas, काबुली चना, छोले, you call it छोले, छोले भटूरे वाले छोले. Is it fine? After this, I hope you are finding it easy. Then what about growth prospects? You want to focus on what? Comprehensive, very important, comprehensive program for fruits and vegetables. This is very much required because, you know, if I think, because there is rise in disposable income. How do I know it? Very good. That is the way you write. As per household consumption expenditure survey 2023-24. ऐसे लिखना होता है, बिल्कुल सही आप दिशा में है. सब कुछ नहीं पढ़ सकते आप, बस एनेक्डोट्स हल्का हल्का आपको ऐड करते रहना है अपने थॉट्स में. डिस्पोजेबल इनकम, एंड इट इज ऑल्सो राइज इन हेल्थ कॉन्शियसनेस, और इट इज ऑल्सो, हमने डिस्कस किया ही था, राइज इन एनसीडी, नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीजेस. कहते हैं ना, हरी ग्रीन लीफी वेजिटेबल्स खाइए, फ्रूट्स खाइए, विटामिन की कमी है, विटामिन D3 है, B12 है. आप सब भी रोज धूप लीजिए. अभी धूप आ रही है, नहीं ले पा रहे हैं तो जरूर लीजिए 9 से 10 के बीच में, बहुत जरूरी है आपकी एनर्जी के लिए. यहाँ तो वैसे ही बुरा हाल है. और नहीं ले पा रहे हैं तो ब्लड टेस्ट जरूर करा के विटामिन D3 की टेबलेट्स आप हफ्ते में एक बार लीजिए, करा लीजिए एक बार. ऐसे घबराइए मत, आपकी एनर्जी पढ़ने के लिए बहुत जरूरी है अच्छी हेल्थ होना. इज इट फाइन? च्यवनप्राश भी खा सकते हैं, या बेस्ट है कि दूध तो आप गर्म करना जानते ही हैं, इंडक्शन सबके पास होगा, और रात को इधर उधर घूमने आप सड़कों पे निकलते ही हैं, तो एक दूध की थैली ले लीजिए, उसको बोलिए उसको उबाल देना, और उसमें हल्दी का एक वो रख लीजिए आप अलग से डिब्बा, वो हल्दी ऐड करके टेक इट बिफोर यू स्लीप, दैट विल एक्ट एज एन एंटी इन्फ्लेमेटरी. हल्दी में क्या होता है? वेरी गुड, करक्यूमिन. Is it fine? Now let's write down. The next part is, this is basically a very simple mission. This program on fruits, vegetables will be focusing on what? Focusing on, write down quickly, production, quickly, efficient supplies, production, efficient supplies, then processing, because it is perishable. You cannot forget. It is perishable, and then finally in the end you cannot grow it without prices. So all in all, it is very simple if you understand what are the problems faced by the sector. सब crystal clear, ऐसे समझ में नहीं आएगा. अब सब, is it fitting inside the puzzle? Right, very good. And in this case, we'll develop appropriate institutional mechanism to focus on FPOs. FPOs are very important. It will decrease the risk, and it will help them in improving the prices. And cooperatives. Is it fine? Now comes the very important this thing. Very important. It is for मखानास. मखाना बोर्ड, बताओ कितना है पैसा लेख? वेरी गुड, 100 करोड़. मखाना बोले तो फॉक्सनट्स. मखाना नहीं बोलना, दुकान पे बोलना फॉक्सनट्स खाने हैं मुझे. और मखाने का संधि विच्छेद करें तो मक प्लस अन्न इज इक्वल टू मखाना. ये ऐसा फूड है जो आदमी कब खाता है? आपके घर में खाते होंगे. मखाने कब खाते हैं? फास्ट के टाइम में. सो इट इज द फूड दैट इज यूज्ड इन यज्ञ, जब यज्ञ होता है, एक बहुत पॉपुलर सेइंग भी है बिहार में मखानों के ऊपर, जाके मखाने के पत्ते से अपना मुंह पोंछ के आओ। अगर कोई बहुत ज्यादा इगोइस्टिक हो रहा हो और उसके अंदर उसका घमंड का बांध और मजबूत बन रहा हो, तो वहां पे कहा जाता है कि मखाने के पत्ते से अपना मुंह पोंछ के आओ, मतलब गो एंड शन ऑफ योर ईगो। बोलते नहीं है ऐसा? वेरी गुड। अच्छा, आप भी भाई से हैं, बताइए व्हाट परसेंटेज इज प्रोड्यूस्ड इन माय कंट्री एंड इन द वर्ल्ड? इंडिया प्रोड्यूसेस 80% ऑफ वर्ल्ड्स आउटपुट, जिनमें से 90% कहां पे है? बिहार। बिहार में कहां? या इन द नॉर्दर्न एरियाज ऑफ बिहार। आई विल शो यू द मैप ऑफ मिथिलांचल, डोंट वरी, आई विल जस्ट ड्रॉ दैट मैप इन द सेकंड पार्ट। जस्ट राइट डाउन northern areas of Bihar. Primarily it is grown in Darbhanga, you are right. Darbhanga, Madhubani, then Purnia, yes, Purnia, then Sitamarhi, Champaran, west and east also. Okay. कौन सी जाति के लोग इसमें इन्वॉल्व होते हैं? लेख बताओ, पता होना चाहिए था। अब ये मखाना पूछ लिया तो पूरी हिस्ट्री पता होनी चाहिए, कैसे खाएं, नमक डालें नहीं डालें, रोस्ट करें तलें। दिस इज बेसिकली मल्ला कास्ट. Malad basic Mallas are what? Yeah, that is one of the types. Fishing, they are boatmen और फिशिंग. अभी जो अगर आप कुंभ में जाएं, अभी तो कहीं मत जाना, पढ़ना अच्छी तरह जाएं तो अधिकारी बन के जाइए, पूरा कुंभ ही संभालिए, लेते रहिए डुबकी अपनी मर्जी के हिसाब से. 1 in a million opportunity. Imagine what civil services does to you. Managing 40 crore people. Everyone in the world, they will take your permission. You will manage it on your own and it's a big challenge. दिन रात आप मेहनत करेंगे, जिंदगी भर याद रहेगा. एक किताब लिख सकते हैं आप, कुंभ के मैनेजमेंट. हो सकता है आपको हार्वर्ड बुलाए. बताइए, इतनी 40 करोड़ लोग तो है ही नहीं, वेस्ट में तो लोग है ही नहीं, भीड़ होती, घबराहट जाती है. So it's a very big thing. That is what civil services does to you. तो ठीक है, मल्ला कास्ट जानते नहीं है, मल्ला जाति ये न्यूज में क्यों है? जो बोटमैन लेके जाते हैं आपको संगम की तरफ, वो सारे मल्ला कास्ट के लोग हैं, ठीक है. और इट इज ग्रोन, इट इज बेसिकली, मखाना इज व्हाट? इट इज अ सीड underwater of which plant? Lily plant. And this is basically water lily, right? And it is grown in the wild. Have you heard about Makhana Man? Has anyone heard about this person, Makhana Man? So this person from this region, he had gone to study food technology and entrepreneurship in his place in South India, and there were just 3 people from his state. So he had taken these makhanas to that organization and he made, जैसे आप भी हॉस्टल में पढ़े हो तो कई लोगों ने डोसा ही पहली बार खाया होता है जीवन में, तो सबकी फूड प्रैक्टिसेस अलग हैं. So he made them eat makhanas and they all liked it. Then he had gone back to Bihar. This is something which is very underpaying. So he developed a startup. He hired a room, 2-3 rooms in a house. He hired people of this caste and he paid them. And so the male fishermen, they will go on boats and they will look at these lily plants. From the bottom, you need to pick out the seeds. And then once you get them back to your store, then women, they roast it and they process it. They grade it as per the quality. So this is very important for feminization of agriculture, and you know, it is a good example you can quote in your interview. It is a good example of the fact that it was not the मखाने को वैसे पूछ, जैसे राजस्थान में ग्वार की सब्जी होती है, वो ऐसी उगती है, उसकी कोई वैल्यू नहीं है. एग्जाम्पल ये है कि इट इज ग्रोन, it became important endeavor ever since this fad of becoming healthy, eating healthy, and Malaika Arora did that advertisement of that company, and how there was this Makhana center of ICAR, though it is totally in shambles. There is no funding that is given to that center in Darbhanga. You can just search on the website. So that center got made, then it was promoted with pisciculture. Because in a pond, you are anyways fishing. It is found, जो pond है वो तो वैसे मछुआरे वहाँ पे मत्स्य पालन करेंगे, तो वहाँ पे आप ये मखाना क्रॉपिंग तो नहीं बोलेंगे, it's grown in wild. You can promote this kind of, you know, integrated diet, not say farming, integrated practice of boosting the incomes of the people. Because I tell you, I was being told it is so cheap that if you take an entire room and you fill it with makhanas, you would basically be costing it rupees 100 or 200, जो कि हम इतना एक्सपेंसिव लेते हैं. 30 रुपए का, 40 रुपए का आप सर्च करिएगा स्विगी, इंस्टामार्ट पे या जोमेटो में, जो भी है, मतलब इट्स बिकम सो पॉपुलर. सो दैट इज द स्कोप ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट in terms of this fad of promoting healthy food, and it is 100% non-processed. It is not like that ultra processed or high risk food that FSSAI bans. So this has got a lot of scope for development. Is it fine? Should I write some more details here? You write down here. In fact, unfortunately, it is also grown in China and Pakistan. China and Pakistan. And there is also a GI. Bihar Makhana or yes, this controversy took place. The GI tag had to be given to the state of Bihar. But then people of this region said that how can you give it to the entire state? ये हमारा एरिया का है, तो इसको हम बोलते हैं मिथिला मखाना. मिथिला मखाना. It has also grown to other states. In fact, quite a lot. It is grown in Kashmir also. It is because it is lake. So lilies, wherever you have, it is grown in several states. So if I say wetland, it will be grown in Loktak also. So I can say Manipur. I can say J&K. I can say all the states. In fact, it's gone to UP. It's gone to West Bengal. It's gone to Chhattisgarh. It's gone to MP. Interestingly, this is also called as what? Right on, this is called as now black what? Diamond? No. It is called as, yeah, it is called as black diamond only. Black diamond. I was trying to write it as gold, but it is called as black diamond. What is the wholesale rate in your state, Alek, of this thing? Okay. Yes, I remember that in Patna, there is this bhunja, that is basically chakna in the North Indian language, that is called, and I'm very fond of these court cereals. So a friend of mine had, not for the reasons that you know, but for the reasons that you know, that serves well, but it is carbohydrates. So he got it from there, and it's very much cheap, easily available. And that is what you don't get it here. Let's say if you are hungry, you want to have something, you would go down, have a samosa or bhatura. But there it's easily available. Let's say for ₹10, you would get short roadside. So, and it is 100% non-processed, and it is super healthy. Anyways, let's go ahead. So this is very important. This fact is very important. They can ask you like this: it is grown in Bihar only. That is not the case. Or they can ask you something about the geography. That is why it is very important. And it's a very tough job, because you have to jump down in the bottom and pick up this thing. And it's hurtful job. So basically it was a side job of people there. But after this center got promoted and this health fad came in, now people they are taking it as an occupation. Is it fine? Should I go ahead? Right. Now let's next write down, very important. Now there's again very simple. The same things, it's very simple. This is a slightly non-interesting. The interesting part was the earlier one. Now you write down, there is a national mission on high yielding seeds, which will focus on obviously research and targeted development. All measures can be written in different facets of agriculture, and it will also focus on commercial availability for sale to more than 100 seed varieties which have been released since July 2024. तो ऐसी बहुत सारी कमर्शियल वैरायटीज है जो पास हो चुकी हैं पर वो फार्मर्स तक अभी तक नहीं पहुंची हैं. सो यू वांट टू एंश्योर दैट दे एंड अप रीचिंग द farmers. I am able to buy that highly resilient seed for my own farm. That's the idea, right? Then after this, you can just write down fisheries. So important for fisheries. Just to tell you some facts, we are second largest producer in what? In fish production and aquaculture, which is actually called as fish farming. Huge potential of growth and exports. Huge. I think it's growing at 9% compounded annual growth rate. 9 to 10% growth rate is witnessed here. I discussed fishing with you. Blue Revolution, General Studies, paper 1. All the problems, everything I discussed with you. Remember that agriculture first leg of my topics. Is it clear? Yes or no? What was the trend in agriculture? In pisciculture, we are moving away from diversification. We are moving from marine to inland because there is very good. There is focus on now aquaculture. You are now not fishing like a fisherman. You are growing seeds, right? You are basically going for methods like river ranching, sea ranching. You are inserting the fish seedlings inside the river, let them spawn in the sea or in the river, and then you are harvesting them. It is example of sustainable fishing. Whenever you talk about any dispute between India and Sri Lanka, I've not taken it. That's very simple. We'll quickly wrap it up where you see the problems and the fisherman dispute that you saw. The best example is you have to promote these techniques like sea ranching and provide them trawlers which are efficient, right? Because you understand bottom trawling problem that we have. Or you can also say where the government of India has provided ID cards and sounders on the ship so that any such communication, if it has to be made in case of disaster, that could be made to the fishermen. Yaad hai ye points? Is it clear, all of you? Right, very good. For fisheries, you can write down what we are doing is very simple. We are developing and enabling framework. There's not much that we are doing. It's a framework, means we are setting the plinth for what? For sustainable fishing. कहां पे होगा ये आपके हिसाब से? सस्टेनेबल फिशिंग कहां होगा? मिशन फ्रेमवर्क कहां होगा बताओ? नहीं, और एक्सपैंड, वहां भी बहुत स्कोप है पिसिकल्चर का, बहुत ज्यादा स्कोप. एक्वाकल्चर बेसिकली वी आर फोकसिंग ऑन हाई सीज, ओपन सी, जैसे वेस्ट में होता है 15-20 दिन जाते हैं, वो इतनी जबरदस्त कैच होती है, जबरदस्त ऑन शिप प्रोसेसिंग, ह्यूज शिप्स, एंड देन दे सेल इट ऑफ, राइट? एंड यू वुड फोकस ऑन EEZ. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड स्पेशल फोकस ऑन, कहां स्पेशल फोकस करोगे एज एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर? रीजन अंडमान एंड निकोबार एंड लक्षद्वीप. भाई ये तो आइलैंड्स हैं, all sea. It's not like Tamil Nadu, which is just having a flange of its state along the coastline. Though that's a very important part, but this is entire island. Scope of development, कितना export का potential है? Because we were earlier going, we are exporting shrimps, जिसको हम क्या बोलते थे? झींगा. उसमें भी हम विभिन्न किस्म की स्पीशीज को हम प्रमोट कर रहे हैं. और हमने पढ़ा था क्लाइमेट चेंज में मैकरल, which is the largest source of omega-3 fatty acid. that is getting a change, that is facing a change in the migration pattern, spawning pattern. It is leading to the declined yield in the territorial waters. अब territorial waters में आप जा ही नहीं सकते. जो तमिलनाडु में है वो तो श्रीलंकन वाटर्स को क्रिस क्रॉस करेगा. इसीलिए ये फ्रेमवर्क हमने सेट किया ahead of the time. I don't think the scheme like this that we have till now. Is it fine? You understand my points? Can you write down next is very important. This is a mission for cotton productivity. This was, I think, required. Mission for cotton productivity. 5-year mission. Focus on productivity and sustainability. And there is then this extra long staple cotton variety. Extra long staple cotton variety. Extra long staple cotton variety. Example, if you buy a cotton shirt is of different types. But you know, if you buy a costly shirt, don't buy it. Go to a costly brand and just look at the cotton that they have. बोलना ऐसे ही देखने आए हैं, ऑब्वियसली कुछ बोलेंगे नहीं. बोलना रुक जाए 1 साल, तेरे को भी और तेरी पूरी दुकान को भी ले लूंगा, ठीक है? तो उसको बोलना अगर ज्यादा बोले. So you look at the cotton, they will give you different types. For example, they will write like this, if you know, Giza cotton. Right? Giza cotton, where is Giza? Egypt. Or they'll say Pima cotton. This is all extra long staple cotton. So basically extra long, medium or small is what? It is the kiski length hai? It is the length of cotton fiber. It is the length of cotton fiber, which is how much? More than 30 mm, 3 centimeters. Quite a lot. Means itna hoga 3 centimeter. Am I right? This much. In India, medium. 95% is medium. And it is basically, if I tell you, it is 25 to 28.6 mm. And this extra long actually we have in India, but in very few areas. कौन से areas होंगे? Maharashtra, very good. And Tamil Nadu, very good. Just the states. Extra long staple cotton variety is not grown in India. Wrong as a statement. Right? 95% is medium, but we also grow it in my country. So we are focusing here, right? It is basically originating in South America and it is grown, you can write down, in Egypt, China, Australia and Peru. I don't know how these Chinese grow cotton. ऐसा तो weather ही नहीं है वहाँ पे. उगा लिया होगा कहीं पे, उनका क्या है? कुछ भी कर सकते हैं वो, communist. So why don't we grow this extra long fiber if it is so good? Anyone into farming and cotton farming? No one knows. Okay, then you would not know. Very good, very good. Extra long has got a problem. It is basically low yield. It is naturally having low yield as compared to medium, and also is the problem of prices. So when a farmer would want to actually grow this particular variety of, you know, I'd say extra long fiber cotton, the yield will be, it's almost, let's say 7 to 8 tons per acre. That is very less as compared to the global standards. So that is why this mission will improve the productivity along with better prices by focusing on extra long staple variety of the cotton. Is it fine? Should I go ahead? Now you can write down. Now you can write down the next is very important. Very, very important. In fact, just write one more thing here. It is in line with 5F approach. 5F approach of textile. What is 5F? Farm to fiber, fiber to factory, factory to fashion, and then you've got fashion to फैशन कहाँ चलता है? यहां फैशन करेंगे तो बोलेंगे पगला गया है, बाहर बोलेंगे तो वाह बड़ा अच्छे एस्थेटिक्स हैं इसके. फैशन टू फॉरेन. 5F अप्रोच पूछ सकता है रिलेट्स टू व्हाट? Which of the following ministries are concerned with the 5F approach? So you would say farm to fiber, fiber to factory, factory to fashion, fashion to foreign. Textile ministry, textile sector, Mitra scheme, textile parks, technology upgradation fund. Then you have PLI scheme for textile sector, very important for the government, one of the very important sectors with respect to employment of females. Important areas Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat, and it is also important for the fact that you are competing with the exports with respect to Bangladesh. Unfortunately, you were classified as a GSP country in Trump 1, but that's not the case now. So Bangladesh end up getting the benefits of that poor developing nation, whatever the tag is, and we don't have that benefit anymore now. Yeah, GSP, which is given by USTR, United States Trade Representative. Right, now next you write down here, in this case, very important scheme, very important step. It is the enhanced credit cover under Kisan credit card. Kisan credit card. The limit here, it was how much? Not interest rate. The limit has been increased from what to what? It has been increased from 3 lakh to 5 lakh. And the government provides interest subvention of 3%. The interest rate that we have is 7%. Therefore, the net that you get for the farmer is 4%, which is like very less. बढ़ाया क्यों है ये? 3 लाख रुपए I think is sufficient for a small farmer. No. Anyone? What is the reason the finance minister has increased it? Yes, I'll discuss it. For prelims, asked 2-3 years back, KCC scheme. Oh, it's not for manufacturing. It's meant only for farm-related needs. Kisan credit card. No. Specific. No. The limit has been increased from 3 to 5 lakh. Why? वैसे पूछेंगे नहीं. It's a deep ingrained fact. Unless your optional is agriculture, तब भी नहीं पूछेंगे. ये एक इंटरव्यू में कहा फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने. गेस करो. थोड़ा क्या टाइम वेस्ट करना, मैं बता ही दूंगा. Because of the focus of the government on promoting commercial cropping. Commercial cropping requires more money. So for commercial cropping, you are increasing the limit. And Kisan credit card, please write down for your prelims, is providing loans to 7.7 crore farmers plus non-farmers plus very good fisheries plus dairying. This was added. They got the benefits of KCC when 2000. I told you what steps have been taken by the government of India. 2019. And these loans are given for what? These are given for number 1, cultivation and post-harvest. They are given for, write down, marketing loans. They are given for consumption needs they are given for working capital for farm assets and for allied activities. So even if they do not use farm saved seeds anymore, it is the fact that the amount of expenditure that you would generally require for growing a commercial crop, which includes seed, that will be much higher as compared to the cropping that you will do for your household consumption. That is why we are increasing this limit of किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड. ठीक है. फिर एक असम में बड़ा जबरदस्त स्टेप लिया. इज इट क्लियर? यस और नो? In Assam, what have we done? Anyone from Assam? No. Very good, very good. We have established a new urea plant. We'll establish a new urea plant in Namrup in Assam. Right? This will make what? What will be the effect? It will boost urea production. Why are these plants and all of these plants that we've had? In fact, you can just write down post 2019, all of these plants have come up in you can write down in new green revolution areas. In new green revolution areas. So we've added this one. This will be the next plant. 8th plant post 2019. इसमें कौन कौन से एरिया हैं? राजस्थान में कहाँ है? फर्टिलाइजर कहाँ है राजस्थान में बताओ? साउथ राजस्थान, गड़ेपान, कोटा के पास जगह है ना गड़ेपान, वहां. There is one in Telangana. We are focusing on यूपी में कहाँ है बताओ? आपके जिले में गोरखपुर में we've got one plant that manufactures urea. So all of these areas are new green revolution areas, and there's also one in Odisha. Anyone from Odisha? Shashwat Tanda is from Odisha. He's not amongst you. He's in the online batch. Odisha we have in Talcher. What is the reason? Very good. How? Because of फर्टिलाइजर के लिए क्या चाहिए? नेचुरल गैस. और गैस को पहुंचाने के लिए you require gas pipelines. So what we are doing is, because of better pipeline network, this is a drastic change which is taking place. Very important. 2019 के बाद में this capacity is 12.7 lakh metric tons annual capacity of this fertilizer. And this natural gas that we are importing, US is the largest producer. We are importing it to the ports, and from ports, rather than importing urea, you are importing the gas and you are promoting regional development. You are promoting urea production. भाई एक तो आप रॉ मटेरियल इंपोर्ट करा रहे हो, एक आप पूरा फर्टिलाइजर इंपोर्ट करा रहे हो. व्हाट इज बेटर? Obviously importing the entire fertilizer. Very important strategy for ensuring that fertilizer production is increased. Is that fine? Very interesting. Very small but very important. Right, and then you write down, we will also focus on India Post as a catalyst for rural economy. I really think that if you come from a village, Indian post offices, they have got a tremendous role and tremendous coverage. And I would tell you, in the service preference, Indian post office services is a very good service, very underrated. I remember I met one of the persons last year He had his interview. He was in the postal services posted in Ghaziabad. He told me it's a very good service, underrated. The ones that you all know, this corporate law and trade and this civil accounts, it is nothing before it. You get a lot of exposure because you've got a MOU with Zurich. Zurich is in Switzerland. What more do you want? वहीं रहिए अपना आराम से, बोलो काम बहुत है, मैं सीख रहा हूँ. Because except IAS, IPS services, all of them, I think, then you have to just optimize. And the number of people that you handle under that post that is given to you, that is quite a lot in Indian postal services. Is that fine? And the government is focusing now, the work will increase. You will be getting overlapping work, because if you are looking at Indian post offices, you are trying to develop the Indian post offices as what? You are developing it as a co-location hub. Co-location hub means this one post office in your village, it will offer multiple facilities. What do you want in a village? You want money? Okay, we'll give you a bank. वैसी money order तो सारे पुराने जमाने में पोस्ट ऑफिस से NSE सर्टिफिकेट सब वहीं से गांव में तो वही चलता है. फिर इंश्योरेंस लीजिए पोस्ट ऑफिस से. फिर क्रेडिट, इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सर्विस. पोस्टल सर्विसेज very, very underrated. That person became an IS actually in the last exam. I think he got a rank in top 15. Is it fine? So you are focusing on co-location. You will basically focus on DBT. You will be giving them credit. You will be giving them EMIs. Everything is being focused on Indian post offices because their network is humongous. How many post offices in the country? It says 1.5 lakh, and there's a vast network of dark sevaks. Dark sevaks are like your friends. You have that intrinsic connection. If you stay in a village, पहले ज़माने में जो अपॉइंटमेंट लेटर आती थी वो उससे आती थी डाक से, तो पहले बोलता था मिठाई खिलाओ मिठाई खिलाओ मिठाई खिलाओ. It's a big thing. अब तो it's totally changed, but that post office maintained a lot of, that connection with the people, organic connection is there. So this will be utilized and it will focus on all of your sectors. It will focus on Vishwakarmas. You will focus on new entrepreneurs. You would focus on women. You would focus on SHG. You would focus on MSME. And you would focus on even large business organization. Very important. पोस्ट ऑफिस को हब बनाना है, बहुत अच्छा स्टेप लिया है सरकार ने, इस पे काम करना चाहिए. जो फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन के पीछे आप SBI को उनको बोलते हो वहां जाएंगे ही नहीं. HDFC ब्रांच खोलेगा ही नहीं किसी भी गांव में. उनके पास एक्सपर्टीज नहीं है, मैनेजर्स के पास एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है. तो पोस्ट ऑफिस तो पता ही है, ग्राम सेवक कोई आके बोल देगा लो जी मेरा पैसे नहीं डल रहे, जरा देखना कैसे करना है, पासवर्ड शेयरिंग, वो सब आपकी मदद करेगा क्योंकि सिस्टम वैसा है. दिस इज अ वेरी गुड स्टेप टू प्रमोट व्हाट आर the first R in RAI, MMEI, रूरल प्रॉस्पेरिटी एंड रेजिलियंस. अब पूरे विलेज सेक्टर को ग्रो करना है. माइग्रेशन कीवर्ड इज शुड बी एन ऑप्शन, नॉट अ नेसेसिटी. ये आप वर्ड्स अपनी मेमोरी में इंसर्ट कर लीजिए लिंगो में, ये बार बार बोलना है आपको. इज इट फाइन? एंड देन यू राइट डाउन फाइनली, इज इट फाइन ऑल ऑफ यू? एंड देन यू राइट डाउन, बेसिकली यू आर फोकसिंग ऑन राइट डाउन. They will provide support to the last step, NCDC, National Cooperative Development Corporation, which works under Ministry of Cooperatives. So how many initiatives? Number 12. Very good. 12 initiatives have been launched by the government. The most important, I think, is Makhana Board. The most important, I think, is the plan to support resilience, which is focusing on 100 districts. I am also pinning my hopes on this program of developing this particular thing, Indian post offices, as an important area of development in a village. It is basically promoting what the keyword is: rural co-location services because you cannot diversify in a village. At one place, you have to provide every possible services. It's like, in an urban area, you have a marketplace. It'll have a barber shop also, department store also, dentist also, all the things at one place. Co-location is the keyword. It is a co-location hub, right? Is it fine? I hope it's not getting a bit boring. Then you write down second engine was, batao Nishant. Second engine is MSMEs. MSMEs are hugely important for civil services prelims, for civil services mains. One of the very important areas. Some statistics I'd like to share with you. The number of registered MSMEs, almost I'd say 5.9 crore. lakh तो बहुत कम है. lakh तो करोड़ बाग में होंगे मुझे लगता है. Anyways, just nothing against you, just joking. Assume it was a joke. ऐसा बुरा मत मान जाना, ये भी डर लगता है कि यार हमें ऐसे बोल दिया. He doesn't know how to speak. बहुत सारी चीजें. ठीक है कुल्ली, तुम तो नहीं बुरा मानोगे ना. मुझे पता है तुम रेजिलिएंट हो. ओके, कंट्रीब्यूशन इन एक्सपोर्ट कितना है? 46%. Then you also write down it contributes 36% in manufacturing. Ye stats on your tips. High profile, straight intro for any question, interview, anything, it should be on your tips. Right? And before I start, I'd like to also know what problems do they face? What are the problems? Tell me quickly. Batao. Yes. First problem is, yes, problem of, ये तो आनी चाहिए आपको सभी को. Problem of scaling up. Because when you scale up, first you want to scale up, then there are more regulatory norms. There are more taxes, more compliances, obviously. Isn't it? As a businessman, if you think, surely it's 100% right. Why would you want to entail that extra cost? Everybody cannot think like Ratan Tata. अगला सोचेगा अरे मैं 4 पैसे बचा लेता हूँ, काम करूँगा क्या? Something like this. Then also there is a problem of regulations. Regulations regarding exports. तीसरा, very important, they want loans. I want loan. मेरा पैसा ही फंसा हुआ है. I want to start my batch in June. And I want money in May. I told you, I gave you my example. I want money in May. पूरे साल बेशक कुछ ना हो, पर मई के महीने में हमें पैसा चाहिए. So at that point, I want rent. I want money. The bank says, I cannot give you, loan because your earnings are very less. So I'll tell them why. You check my credit worthiness. So we had a mechanism in the budget where different methods will be used by the banks to check my credit worthiness. So there is concern of क्रेडिट वर्दीनेस. भाई 1000 तरीके हैं क्रेडिट चेक करने के. क्लास में अब 50 बच्चे हैं, सारे क्रेडिट कार्ड यूज नहीं करते होंगे, पर किसी का बजटरी एक्सपेंस है, कोई और तरीका, क्या पता हो एयरटेल का बिल समय पे दे रहा हो, या कुछ कोई अपने टिफिन की पेमेंट समय पे कर रहा हो. दैट इज एग्जांपल ऑफ योर क्रेडिट वर्दीनेस. दैट इज व्हाई इन द बजट द गवर्नमेंट सेज यू डेवलप अ ग्रामीण क्रेडिट card or Grameen credit score. So if you want loan, if I'm a villager, I want loan, I've got a terrific record, but that is not record in the eyes of a bank. Bank तो अपने हिसाब से चलेगा. तो इसको हमें mix करना है, discuss it. This is a very important initiative that the government of India has taken. It's connected with something for which the foundation we have laid in the agriculture class. Remember DAM? What was DAM? Digital Agriculture Mission. I'll discuss something with DAM and this Grameen credit scores. It's all connected together. Is it fine? Credit worthiness, and then there is problem of technology upgradation. Right? With this, let's open up the first initiative which has been taken. First initiative in your answers on MSME was definition change, where we had removed the classification of services and manufacturing, and we had added what? We had added the criteria of turnover. Now there is revision of definition. पहली तो पुरानी डेफिनेशन बताई जाए, फिर नई पे आएंगे. माइक्रो, स्मॉल, मीडियम इंडस्ट्रीज. ओल्ड डेफिनेशन बताइए. ओल्ड पहले मुझे बताइए. पहले क्राइटेरिया था इन्वेस्टमेंट, फिर था टर्नओवर. क्या था पीयूष, बताओ. 1 करोड़, 1.5, 50 या 10? हाँ 50. वेरी नो 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 नो, मुझे भी गलत याद करा दिया. 1, 10, 50. ठीक है. अब इंटू 5 करोड़, 50 करोड़, 250 करोड़. इज इट क्लियर? अब नया क्या है देखिए, बहुत इजी है. पहले तो सब भूल जाइए, इसको भूल जाओ भी आप. आपको याद करना है डेफिनेशन बेस्ड ऑन ओल्ड, ऑन बेसिस ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट. व्हाट इज इट? 1, 10 and 5. 1 into 10 is 10 crore. 10 into 5 is into 10 into 5. Up now come to turnover. Multiply this entirely by 5. Multiply this entirely by what? 5. Is it clear? Yes or no? Yes or no? This is 50 crore. And now the new ones, what will you do? Because it is smaller number, I can multiply by a comparatively higher number, and this I will multiply into 2. So this becomes 2.5 crore. Then this becomes 25 crore, and this becomes, yes, 125 crore. This is by 2. This becomes 10 crore. This becomes 100 crore, and this becomes 500 crore. New definition. समझ में आया कैसे किया? You just remember one part. Remember 1, 10 and 50. 1, 10, 50. 1, 10, 50. 1, 10, 50. इसको अब याद करिए. 1, 10, 50 मतलब 1 करोड़ माइक्रो का, 10 करोड़ is for small, and 50 is for medium. From what? Investment in plant and machinery, I go to turnover, yearly turnover, which will surely be more than the investment that you make. Am I right or not? I am a manufacturer. I let's say buy a machine of 1 crore. तो कम से कम 1 करोड़ की तो turnover होना ही चाहिए logically सबके लिए. So this become 550 and 250 into 5. Now the new definitions, because the first column of your investment is comparatively lesser, so I can multiply by a larger number. So I've done it by into 2.5. These are the new definitions, and this is as per the turnover. समझ में आ रहा है? कंफ्यूजिंग तो नहीं लग रहा? इसको ऐसे याद करना पड़ेगा, बहुत इजी है. आपको सिर्फ ये याद करना है 1, 10, 50. 1, 10, 50. Is it clear? Should I go ahead? Very good. Now the next is, this is definition revision. Second write down we have is, second write down, increase in, second write down is increase in credit availability. Credit availability, write down with guarantee cover. It is called popularly as credit guarantee. In case if a particular MSME has taken loan and it defaults, then there has to be some agency to provide guarantee to the bank who has given that particular amount of loan to that MSME. That has got an increase right down for micro and for small. सूक्ष्म एवं लघु जो उद्योग हैं, उसकी कितनी थी याद है किसी को? It has been increased from 5 crore. In fact, it was 2.5 crore. In 23, we made it 5 crore, and now we've made it 10 crore. Now we made it 10 crore for startups. For startups, it has been made 10 crore to, just know it, 20 crore. And the guarantee fee has been moderated. कम कर दिया गया है to 1%. And if there are good, well-run exporter MSMEs, they can take loans up to 20 crore, which is quite a lot. In fact, there is one more interesting initiative. They have also launched this credit card for micro enterprises who are registered on Udyam portal. The ones who are on Udyam, they'll get credit card limit of 5 lakh. Or pehle saal mein, which is this year, first year, they will give 10 lakh credit cards. 5 lakh ki limit is quite a lot. Isn't it? Isn't it? Compare with your individual credit card limits, like 8-10 lakh is a good limit that you have for an individual. All of these examples are improving credit to the MSMEs. Right? Then you write down, we have this fund of funds, write down for FOF, fund of funds for startups. Fund of fund for startups. Right. So earlier, this fund of fund had a corpus of 10,000 crore, and this was launched in 2016. Right. It was launched in 2016 with a 10,000 crore this thing. So now we'll give them another, write down 10,000 crore. So basically the idea is that this is the fund of fund that we are discussing. It is managed by SIDBI, and the government has given them amount of 10,000 crores. Now, what this fund of fund will do, it will give money to what? Several alternate investment funds which are registered with SEBI. All of these are nothing but daughter funds, and these funds will further give it to, lend it to who? Startups. This is the mechanism. So what has changed is, this was earlier 10,000 crore. So they gave them in all, this entire amount given here was 10,000 crores. And they finally, with the help of this, they had lent almost 90,000 crores to the startups. So now this second funnel of 10,000 crores has been provided. We had discussed it, remember, when I had taken MSMEs with you? Remember or no? Fund of funds and daughter funds, I asked you, how do you know that question? Is it fine? Then you write down. Next is, fifth you write down. Write down is, there is this scheme, very important, for First time entrepreneurs. First time entrepreneurs. Right. This include what? Include 5 lakh women, SC, ST. And what kind of women, SC, ST? First time entrepreneurs. What will you do? You will provide them term loan, which is up to 2 crore during the next 5 years, along with focus right down on capacity building and entrepreneurship. Capacity building and entrepreneurship. Is it fine? And it is basically modeled on the lines of, this was asked in prelims, Stand Up India, which was launched in 2016, where the bank branches would give money to at least 1 woman and 1 SC or ST. And this loan amount was between 10 lakh to 1 crore. So we've actually increased it from 10 lakh to 1 crore that we have. We've now made it 1 crore. Is it fine? Right? Then we have focused on, should I go ahead? Yes or no? Then we have focused on labor intensive sectors. Labor intensive sectors. Labor intensive sectors. Why? Because post 2019, write down, post 2019, focus of corporates had been on labor intensive or capital intensive? Very good. On capital intensive. Right. So your labor intensive sectors, tell me. Leather, toys, and then textile is a very large ministry, right? Leather, right? Leather, toys, and food processing. So for, leather, you can write down, focus on leather, plus non-leather footwear, where you would focus on design, you would focus on capacity building, and you would focus on machinery. Toy sector mein you want to develop India as a global toy hub. And this scheme will focus on what? Clusters, again, simple skills and manufacturing. And they will basically improve on national action plan on toys. When was it launched? National action plan on toys. They will improvise on this. This is the framework of the current scheme. This was launched in 2020. In food processing, the government is focusing on Purvodaya. Purvodaya is development of eastern parts of the country. Basically the areas where you have of the downstream plains of Ganga. So basically it is eastern UP and it is basically the state of Bihar that you want to focus. They are focusing by having NIFTEM. Where is NIFTEM? Is there a NIFTEM under you? Or is it near to you? There is one NIFTEM in Sonipat. It is called as National Institute of, not fashion, National Institute of Food Technology and Entrepreneurship. Right? National Institute of Food Technology and Entrepreneurship Management, and they will set up this center in the state of, which state? Bihar. This center will come up in Bihar, but it is under the larger theme of developing the eastern parts of my country. Eastern parts of my country. And then we have, after labor intensive, we have focus on, write down. We have focus on, seventh part, write down, manufacturing. We have this focus on manufacturing mission. Manufacturing mission with the idea of furthering Make in India. Why do we require this? Because you want to grow, increase the share of manufacturing in GDP from present 17%, you want to make it to 25%. So you've launched Make in India. Now you've launched manufacturing mission, which will be focusing on small plus medium plus large. Small, medium, large industries. Focus on 5 areas. Focus on 5 areas. Which is what? Ease plus cost of doing business. Second, future ready workforce. Then MSME sector, technology, and then you write quality products. Quality products. Right? We cannot forget that this economic survey 2024-25 says that manufacturing is steadily recovering. Is it fine, all of you? Right? And then you write down, we have this next mission, write down, very important. This is in the light of climate change commitments. Climate change commitments. What is this? We will have clean tech manufacturing. Right? Clean tech manufacturing. Focusing on what? Very important. मैन्युफैक्चर ऑफ क्या क्या आएगा क्लीन टेक में? सोलर पीवी सेल्स, मैन्युफैक्चर ऑफ बैटरी, मैन्युफैक्चर ऑफ मोटर and controllers. Controllers are used where? In electronics. Then you would have focus on electrolyzers. Electrolyzers, very important. Focus on wind turbine. Then very important, very high voltage. Transmission equipment. And then you write down grid scale battery. Right. Right. Also in competition with China, which is leader in clean technology manufacturing. Clean technology manufacturing. Is it fine? Clean technology manufacturing. Right? This is which engine? Second engine. We focused on clean technology. We focused on manufacturing. We focused on labor intensive sectors. We focused on first entrepreneurs, female labor force participation, resilience. We focused on fund of funds. We focused on credit guarantee and this particular aspect of credit card. We focused on revision of definition, and this was my second leg of MSMEs. Right. Third engine is where? Very good. Third engine, write down. Is it clear? I hope you are getting having all the attention. Is it fine? Any problems till now? तीसरा इंजन कौन सा है? Yes, किसमें? Very good. Engine number 3. Engine number 3. Right. Investment in P I yes, P4. I don't know what is the funny part, but you tell me. People. I, innovation. E, economy. Right? I'll start with people, then we'll go to innovation, then we'll go to economy. One method was also to open the budget sector wise. It is sector wise, but it is still spread. That perspective I'll give it to you, because then, you know, if you would have read the budget, let's say yourself, you would have got really very confused. So this is the right methodology. For example, shipping sector. Some of the benefits are given in the shipping sector in the part A, and some of them are in part B. So we'll all collate it together. You don't worry about that. MSMEs are all at one place, 8-10 initiatives. So it is easier this way. Right? Now let's start with investment in people. लिखिए investment in people. इसमें first step is write down this scheme, very important. This is called as Saksham. What is the scheme? Saksham, Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0. Poshan 2.0. just to give you some information before I start, this is a very important scheme because it gives nutritional support. Just to remember these numbers, 8 crore बच्चे, 1 crore pregnant women and lactating mothers, और 20 लाख कौन, adolescents. Basically 13 to 18. कहाँ? Not in the entire country. In write down Northeast region and aspirational district. Right? And before this, I would like to just tell you that if I look at the schemes of women and child development, some of you will work here once you qualify the exam after 15 years, the JSEC or someone else. So the schemes of this ministry are opened up into 3 heads. 3 broad pillars we have. First is Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0. This is the first part. Then anyone knows? No. ICDS. That is part of Saksham. बहुत पुराना ICDS is a part of Anganwadi program only. Second is write down. Yes, you were saying. Yes. Mission Vatsalya, and then we have Shakti. I told you. Right? Remember, I was taking a topic. Yes. Mission Shakti. Shakti will focus on protection. Very good. Write down. Shakti will focus on safety, protection, and empowerment of women. Vatsalya will focus on, yes, care of children. कहाँ पे? In difficult circumstances. And this will focus on what? Yes, nutrition. Nutrition किनका? इन तीनों का. Is it fine? And this Saksham also has got 3 components. I'll just write it here. Saksham, just to give you a flavor. Right. First is nutrition support for Poshan. Poshan basically includes बच्चे and who? बच्चे and mothers, along with who? Write down adolescent girls. Second, we'll focus on, very important, what? Senior citizens. No. Senior citizens, they have a separate ministry. This will be focusing on ECCE, Early Childhood Care and Education. Anganwadi centers are very important. When you clear the exam, you become an administrative services. You should visit all of them. It's your job. You will not get time because you would be calling who? Santosh, can I have water? You would be calling who? किस अधिकारी को बुलाएंगे अपने दफ्तर में? बीडीओ, सड़के वड़के का निर्माण, CDPO, very good. Child Development and Protection Officer. You will be calling him and would be implementing all these schemes, sexual harassment against children, against women, or POXO. So you will call him and you would ask him what is the update of this Anganwadi. Let's say any Anganwadi worker comes to you, though it becomes very tough to meet you because you'd be so busy in your work the entire day if you get the administrative, then you meet him and then you'd be addressing these concerns. You should surely visit these areas, conduct a flying field visit, though you will not get time, but you should do that. Lot of scope. Education. You'll call who in education? जिला का जो शिक्षा अधिकारी है, डीईओ, उसको आप समन करेंगे, स्कूल्स का पूछेंगे, पीएम श्री में कितना काम हुआ, टॉयलेट बने नहीं बने, बच्चे आ रहे हैं नहीं, रिजल्ट क्यों कम आ रहा है, तुमने क्या किया बताओ मुझे. यू बी कॉलिंग द मीटिंग ऑफ ऑल द डिस्ट्रिक्ट ऑफिशियल्स. अगर कोई जिले में जेल होगा तो जेल के अथॉरिटी को बुलाएंगे, एसपी बैठेगा, सारी मीटिंग्स आप हेड करेंगे. यू आर बेसिकली द फल्क्रम ऑफ द डिस्ट्रिक्ट. आपको सीधा जवाब सरकार को देना है. कोई मुख्यमंत्री या मंत्री किसी बीडीओ को या सीडीपीओ को फोन नहीं करेगा, वो आपको पूछेगा हाँ भाई क्या हुआ, तुम्हें बनाया इसके लिए. समझ में आ रहा है? राइट, वेरी गुड. ECE and then you write down the last here is write down Anganwadi infrastructure. Right. So what are we doing in this budget? We are doing what? Yes. No. Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan Abhiyan is not for northeastern areas. This scheme of providing nutritional support to adolescents, this is meant for northeastern areas and aspirational districts only. Is it fine? Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan Abhiyan, basically you are doing what? We are improving the cost norms. Basically, you can just see from this perspective that the funding which shall be given to this particular program, this will be improved. So you write down funding improved plus more support for nutrition. Right. Then second is very important, a wonderful initiative. You shall be having it in your district. We'd be having Atal Tinkering Labs, where in write down 50,000 labs you will have in the next 5 years. Right. In fact, if you know, there was this Atal Innovation Mission, which was launched in 2016 to promote what? Innovation. And no, urban areas maybe. Have you been to a tinkering lab? When you were in, I think you must be in school when this scheme got launched. Did you have it in your school? Okay. Innovation plus problem solving in schools, in colleges, and overall for the society. Schools you have what? Schools you have Atal Tinkering Labs. And colleges you have what? Very good, very good. Atal Incubation Centers. This is basically for 6th to 12th. Implemented by? Asked in prelims. Very good. Asked when? I think 16, 17? 19. Very good. CSP. Implemented by CSP. Yeah. Implemented by Niti Aayog. Okay, it's in your school, DAV Patiala. Very nice. नहीं, बड़े बड़े में, सब में तो हो ही नहीं सकता. तो आप अटल इनोवेशन मिशन की वेबसाइट पर जाके आप सर्च कर सकते हैं कि आपके आसपास के इलाके में कौन से कॉलेज में है. हाँ, हो BHU तो बड़ी यूनिवर्सिटी है, बिल्कुल होगा. वहां तो टिंकरिंग भी बना दिया होगा, छोटा स्कूल प्ले स्कूल टिंकरिंग लैब को भी अप्रूव कर देते हैं. इट्स अ बिग यूनिवर्सिटी. They get more funding. That is why, because the big universities, they take up all the funding. We had launched this scheme. What is this scheme? To promote research and education in state universities. state universities and central universities, there's a lot of, so there's a, if you look at the universities, IIMs, IITs, and let's say the top medical schools, they are the top, all the law schools also. Then you come to other universities, you know, like let's say JNU, let's say DU, not all of them. The top ones which are conducted by center, then you come to state universities, and state are terribly mismanaged. That is why to improve education in state universities, you got this scheme which is called as, very important scheme. Nobody knows. I think it came up in prelims also, 2016. Am I right with the year? No, okay, I thought. It's called as RUSA, Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan. There must be some tampering and revamping done. I am not sure about that. But yes, this was a big scheme to promote innovation in the state universities. Is it fine? Right. Now, these tinkering labs shall be established. Next, you write down, we have very important. I hope it is coming easy to you, not much. We'll have broadband connectivity. Where? Rural areas में कहाँ? घरों में किधर? In schools. ग्राम पंचायत में तो I think होगा. Schools plus प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर्स, ताकि हम टेलीमेडिसिन प्रमोट कर सकें. Isn't it? Under what program? BharatNet. BharatNet what? BharatNet program. BharatNet was launched right down in 2011. In 2023, we started revamped BharatNet, or you can write amended. I'm so sorry. Write down amended. Amended BharatNet program. For what? Broadband connectivity through what? Satellites? Optical fiber. Very good. Optical fiber. Where? In 2.64 lakh gram panchayats plus non-gram panchayat villages. Non-gram panchayat villages. Right. Just to also tell you, this scheme has got a fund. This scheme for implementation has got a fund. Anyone knows the name? Yes. BharatNet Nidhi. जिसको BharatNet Nidhi? Oh yes, digital, yes. Yes. Which was earlier called as, yes, USOF, Universal Service Obligation Fund. Right, and it is implemented by what? Bharat Broadband Network Limited. Ministry is clearly Ministry of Communication and Technology. Right. This was formed just right down in 2012. 2012. Have we completed all the gram panchayats? What is the reason? Have we given internet connectivity to all the gram panchayats? Yes or no? Why? See, first is that there are concerns that we have. For example, in the northeastern areas, you can work only in particular parts of the month. You cannot work during the monsoons. Second, if you want to provide optical fiber connectivity, there is requirement of equipment that demands power to check if it is properly laid down or not. That is also one of the reasons. Third, in some areas, there is a tough terrain. So it's not easy to lay down a cable for connectivity of the internet, which I'll just use to some extent in the Gati Shakti master model platform. I'll tell you what's the problem there. So because of that, we have not reached full saturation of the coverage of broadband connectivity. That is why, again, so this scheme is doing what? This scheme is providing, she's saying in the budget, because she's again appropriating money for provision of internet broadband in the gram panchayats. Do you understand the points? Saksham Anganwadi, because all the schemes, they will not be running, it's all revamped. So they push it, she is mentioning, which means she is giving more money to that particular scheme for the government of India. Right? Is it fine? Then you write down further. This is a very simple and very important scheme. Write down. This is Bharatiya. Write down Bharat. What is the scheme? Bharat Bhasha Pustak scheme. What will be the Bharatiya Bharat Bhasha Pustak scheme? You will basically do what? You will provide books in digital format, books in English, Indian languages. Just Indian languages. There is no clarity whether it is scheduled or not, just Indian languages. For which class? Undergraduate and postgraduate courses, along with school education. The classes are not mentioned. It just says higher education and it says your school education. Along with this, they also have planned a national center for what? Excellence, for skilling. How many of them? 5 will be set up. 5 will be set up. Interesting part here is, just like resilient program, it is focusing on global partnership and expertise, and promote make for India and make for the world. Very important keyword. And this is important in the context of what? Where the corporates, they said that we are not getting the workforce that is desired, specifically in the era of AI. So you will basically have it as development of industry-ready workforce. Industry-ready workforce. Right? Then there is also one initiative, expansion of infra in IITs which have been established post 2014. You would tell me, you would know it better than me. 5. In fact, there are some websites, they are saying 6 if you include the one in Karnataka, but 5. Which are these 5? One is Tirupati, then is Jammu, then is Goa, then is where? Ajit, Palakkad, very good. And then Chhattisgarh. Bilai. And this will facilitate, you know, how many students? 6,500 more students. हाँ, आ रहा हूं उस पे अलग से बताऊंगा. आईआईटी पटना पटना में तो पूरा उसको आईआईटी क्या उसको एमआईटी बनाने वाले हैं. सारे मखाना को खोद के उगा के सारे आईआईटी पहुंचेंगे. बेसिकली बेटर hostel infrastructure. When was this established? Is it under the campus of NIT Patna separately? In main Patna only? Okay. NIT is in main Patna. That is a very old NIT. REC, it used to be REC Patna. Like there is NIT Jalandhar. Very good. How is it doing now? Is it right, all of you? Right. Then you write down. So basically, Tirupati was in news. Why? One is the Laddu. Yes, it is always in news because of Laddu. One was Sri Venkateswar University is located here, and inside the university, a leopard ventured recently. Right. It is a part of Seychelles Hills Biosphere Reserve, which is located how? In this direction. This is Chittoor, right? And this is Tirupati. And here you've got Kurnool and Kadapa regions. Which river is flowing like this? Kadapa is having which river in the map? I think it is Pennar. Can you just quickly check, Santosh? Once. River on Kadapa. So we have discussed this mission of books and IITs. Now you write down, this is very important. We are having Center for Excellence, quickly please, in AI in education. AI in education. And if you don't, I'll tell you one more thing. If you are competitive in life and you like achievements, if you don't come from a good college, you will have that sense of insecurity inside you. See, that he is from that college, main nahi kar paya. That can be broken. That can be broken only by this exam, which is the case. Not everybody is from IIT or let's say IIM or let's say a good prestigious university, let's say like JNU or any other thing. आप अगर आम जगह से पढ़े हैं तो यही मौका है. और कहीं जीवन में आप हार चुके हैं रेस, पहले ही मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ. आप 10वीं में ही हार गए थे. जिन्होंने जोर नहीं लगाया भारत में, 10वीं में ही पढ़ना बहुत जरूरी था, आप नहीं पढ़े, कहानी खत्म है. ये एग्जाम आपको ऊपर देगा. ये आप स्टेट सर्विसेज निकाल लो, SDM DSP बन जाओ, समाज में ओहदा मिलेगा. उसमें बहुत बड़ा गैप है स्टेट में और IAS में. DM के लिए आप SDM PCS रैंक बनो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. DM is DM. IAS IPS are the posts that you need to fight for. So you push like anything. Every moment push till you qualify. Enter the list, then improvement can be done. Before that, there's no point. Is it fine? Please follow it. Make it a rule that you have to achieve it if you want to do it. People are happy in a normal living also. I might not be happy. I'm sharing my perspective. I will not bombard. If somebody is happy with normal things in life, that's okay. But then there's no point in living that life. Is it fine? So, Center for Excellence in Education, we have already established 3 centers already. 3 centers of excellence in AI already established. Where? First was Center for Health, then we have Agriculture, and then you can write down Sustainable Cities. Health का कहाँ होगा Center for AI? AIIMS Delhi. In collaboration with IIT Delhi. A lot of money is given to AIIMS. Quite a lot of money. Yeah, 6,000 crores. Imagine prestigious place. If you don't, I hope you don't ever go. You just visit in the night the emergency ward of AIMS and you look at the people who are working, extremely intelligent, right? So you have to be there, do something like this. Agriculture, where is it? It is in Punjab. Where in Punjab? IIT Ropar. Ropar, how would you know? How would they know Ropar? Map classes. Wetland, Satluj and that area, Nangal Dam. I had shown you that boundary. Remember in the map? Bakra Nangal. Nangal Reservoir. I told you about fish also that is available there. इसलिए पता था कि याद रहे, मैं कोई अपना वो नहीं चट्टा नहीं खोल रहा, याद करने के लिए आपको बोल रहा हूँ, याद करने में आसानी रहेगी. अच्छा ये ऐसे ऐसे बोला था, जो मुझे मेरे टीचर्स ने बताया था, मुझे आज भी याद है वो एनेक्डोट्स, ऐसी चीजें याद रहेंगी. ठीक है. और सस्टेनेबल सिटीज कहाँ होगा? IIT कानपुर. ये these three we have already announced. This was announced in 2023 and all of them they got recently passed in October. They all are new. Now we'll have this center of AI in education. Outlays 500 crore just for one center. Good amount of money has been given. I hope you can compare 500 crore. Good amount of money. Isn't it for one center? 500 crore for one center. Is it fine? Agreed or not? Then you write down next is they are expanding expansion of just I'll take one more, then I'll give you a break. Expansion of medical education. So what are we doing? In the next year, that is 25, 26, we'll be doing what? Adding 10,000 seats. And if I look at 5 years, 75,000. Not very important, just know these numbers. Right? And then this is very important. I think this is very important, though this criticism also. We are establishing daycare centers in all district hospitals. And this we'll be doing, this is what? This is pay care centers which will establish in the next 3 years. Almost कितने जिले हैं भारत में? 740, 750. This year we'll establish 200. This year. You know, I'll tell you, if you want to know the power difference, you go from here to this place. Pandara Road, do you know? India Gate, do you know? Go to India Gate, get down at Mandi House. Right? If you go from there towards Bengali Market, there's a railway line. Has anyone been there? Right beside the railway line, you've got officials of railway account services, railway traffic services. If you get railway management and you get Delhi, you'd be staying near Connaught Place. There's a state entry road, which is the VIP entry to platform number 1 in Paharganj in New Delhi. You get to stay there. If you get the IS cadre in Delhi, that is Agmut, you go to all these places, go to Pandara Road, go to Moti Bagh, you'd find the places there. That will be your level. Your children will study in good schools, like plush schools of Delhi, modern school, let's say Sardar Patel. You'd hang out in Khar Market and all the judges will be around you. This you will not get anywhere except in this service. You will be enjoying top of the top services created. The stadiums, Delhi is wonderful that way. You will not have that plush house like you have in your state. You can go to Talak Tora if you're fond of sports. Swimming कर सकते हैं, बैडमिंटन कर सकते हैं, जो मन करे वो पढ़ा था ना पिछले साल. एक दंपति थे, कुत्ता घुमाते थे, सारे बेचारे एथलीट्स को भगा देते थे. अरे भगाएंगे ही, IAS हैं, क्यों नहीं भगाएंगे? वो बेचारे फंस गए. ऐसा इसकी सर्विस की ये पावर है. And I'm telling you, either you earn lots of money in life, for which there is no clear path. You can become Ravindran sir, but he has given his entire life from 9 to 9, like a robot, like a machine. So I'm not saying that that is not a good thing, but he chose that thing. So you decide whether you want to be 9 to 9 and take a current affairs course or whatever you want to take, and let go of the things that enjoy, or just plunge for these 5-6 years, qualify, and just sail and have a comfortable life. If you want to work hard, नौकरी छोड़ के वापस आइए, इतने छोड़ ही रहे हैं, आप कर सकते हैं, पर उसको चख लीजिए एक बार जीवन में. मैं बस ये जो मन में, मतलब मन में मलाल नहीं रहना चाहिए, मेरा मानना ही है. तो उसको पा लीजिए, फिर छोड़ देना कोई नहीं छोड़ेगा. ठीक है? Is it fine? Do you understand my point? So I'm saying that you will be, what is the demerit here? It's a wonderful step that you've taken for cancer care, but what is the demerit? बर्डन, अरे कैंसर में तो इतना मुश्किल इलाज होता है, कीमोथेरेपी होती है, रेडियोथेरेपी होती है. यू आर बेसिकली प्रोवाइडिंग कीमोथेरेपी इन अ डिस्ट्रिक्ट हॉस्पिटल, बट यू रिक्वायर ट्रेन्ड ऑन्कोलॉजिस्ट, you require trained expert doctors. That is what the head of oncology of Gangaram had said. It's a wonderful initiative, but there is right now a 70 to 80% shortage of trained doctors to provide you cancer care. Cancer is not like your khasi zukam or human metapneumovirus or H5N1. It's a non-communicable which is increasing at a very drastic rate. Did you read that in the Express? How he was giving the interview, he said that it's a good step. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just the start. Is it fine, all of you? Yes or no?